The sports media palace of Mid-America, the Wolf of Center Street. Here's your host, John Nabors.
And welcome into the John Nabors Show here live from Natty State Sports Studios. Appreciate everybody listening in on this beautiful day here in the great state of Arkansas. I am your host, John Nabors, and we appreciate each and every one of you watching and listening and making us a part of your afternoon this afternoon. It is a Wednesday as it is, so in the middle of the week, hump day, if you will. We know that Arkansas normally would be playing a Razorback basketball game tonight, or maybe sometimes on a Tuesday, but it's not happening here today. It's kind of nice, actually. No, there's no reason to be upset or disappointed when it comes to what Razorback basketball has been able to accomplish so far this year. Has been not too great, but at least we get to have a week in between major disappointments, because they do have Georgia coming up on Saturday back in Bud Walton Arena, which is going to be interesting to see not only how the crowd looks, but how people are reacting to the return of Devo Davis, and something we discussed pretty much entirely yesterday. But I did want to bring it up since it is a Wednesday, and we like to do those fun little segment gigs, whatever it is, of what if Arkansas was to win out. Now, a lot of you, when you probably see that question, or if you hear that question of what if Arkansas won out, you're probably thinking to yourself, well, what if pigs could fly? I'd have to take a net out of my rear end to try to catch them, because that's about how likely something like that would be able to happen, which I would agree. The team and the likelihood of them going 9-0 the rest of the regular season is pretty much dadgum near impossible. Let's just be honest. It's not something that anyone's going to bet on and probably not believe, and especially knowing that some of their toughest games left on their SEC schedule are the ones that are either on the road against high-quality opponents, or even some of your home games being against a team like Tennessee, one of the better teams in the conference, where you really don't match up well. It's just one of those things. But it actually was some sort of conversation that was spurned from last night as I was sitting down and reminiscing and talking about the Razorback basketball program with a few peers of mine. And it was being discussed of how, Devo Davis is back, and what could that mean? What could that mean for the team, and what that could mean for the season and for us and everything? And the question was then posed, well, what if this team goes undefeated? What if they go undefeated the rest of the way? What if they go 9-0? And again, it was after a few laughs and, kind of like, you're such a jokester. I can't believe you even asked that question. How is it not realistic? It is something that is at least fun to do here on a Wednesday. If you want to call it a what if Wednesday, it's simply that. But what if Arkansas was to go 9-0 the rest of the way? Now, we alluded to it a little bit yesterday, too, that if Arkansas was to go 9-0, more than likely, they would be a team that would not be in the NCAA tournament for sure even then. It would give them an 11-7 overall conference record, and then their overall record being, which is crazy to think they're sitting at 11-11, that would put them at 20-11, which, man, that seems like such an unachievable and unattainable goal at this point. But that would be, you would think, maybe decent enough to get into the NCAA tournament, maybe at least be a question. Maybe it'd be something that you have to win some more games in the NCAA tournament. But even going at 11-7 will put you at the middle of the pack of the SEC. You wouldn't have to be worrying about Wednesday night sadness in the SEC tournament. You'd actually be able to play maybe Thursday, or dare I say Friday, depending on how the rest of the conference plays out. But more than likely that. But either way, since we're playing the what-if game and the what-if question for the Razorbacks themselves, what if that happens? What if Devo Davis really just ignites this team and the return of him? What if Trevin Brazile starts putting it together? What if, somebody like Tremont Mark continues to go on a great trek here? What if Jalen Graham and Mekhi Mitchell really settle into their roles and start becoming players that you can count on in major ways? This what if? Well, what if it happens? At the end of the day, you want to be able to win games, and you want to have excitement, and you want to have success, and you want to have this team and this program at least give you something to root for. And it would be ultimately something that would probably be frustrating to Razorback fans to be like, where was this? Why did it take so long? Why did it have to get to this point? Why did Devo Davis have to leave the team in order for this team to figure it out? There would be a lot of questions along with that excitement, but it would truly be one of the coolest stories you'd ever see in Razorback sports history. I mean, last year was a cool story within itself, that you had a bunch of McDonald's All-Americans coming in. You had it all right as rain. Seemed like it was all being put together, but you lose one of your better players in Brazil, and then Nick Smith can never see the court consistently. And you start losing games in pretty weird and frustrating fashion, whether it's missing free throws, whether it's not playing great offensively and looking so good offensively, even though you feel like a lot of those players should be a lot better in the consistency mind frame. But whatever it is, it was still a great story because Arkansas, even though they didn't have the best record, they finished 10th in the SEC because of their net ranking, still got in the NCAA tournament. You beat Kansas and you go to the Sweet 16, and the rest is history. We all know. Great story, though, because it kind of erased all the struggles and the frustrations that happened in the regular season because you did get to that point. Now, this is an even bigger uphill battle that you would have to go up. And if Arkansas was able to find some way, it's not even about beating Kansas to go to the Sweet 16. It's not even about getting to that second weekend, which Arkansas has done for 3 straight years. What it's about is just getting to the NCAA tournament. Because if Arkansas found some way to do that, whether it is going 9-0, whether it's winning the SEC tournament, whatever it is, if Arkansas found a way to get into the NCAA tournament, it would pretty much, in most people's minds, erase all the struggles that it had because of how far you came from behind, how far down you were. You built yourself back up, and you were able to at least make something out of it. And that's really at this point that you can always count on, is that some sort of story like that, you can at least feel good about it. Doesn't mean you're going to have all the fun that maybe you had in previous years. Doesn't mean you're going to have all the confidence in the future going forward, but at least has given you something to be excited about by getting this team back to the NCAA tournament, because as we know, more so than anybody, that once you get to the NCAA tournament, anything can happen. We've seen 16 seeds upset 1 seeds. We've seen even more upsets happen with the 5-12 games. We've seen 9 seeds get to the Final Four. Crazy things do happen, and it's all about getting to the tournament. And that's really what this team has to play for, and that's what they have to aim for. But other than winning the SEC tournament, it doesn't look very likely. So what if this team wins out? What if this team found a way to fall backwards into the NCAA tournament? Well, I think everyone would feel so much better about the things that happened this year and feel like, hey, it really got going and how fun it was to finish the season strong and playing your best basketball at the right time. But that's why we play the what-if game, because there's really no other way to put it. There's no other way of like, let's break down the net rankings and see where they're at. That doesn't matter. Or let's break down what the opponents look like. It doesn't matter what the opponents look like. You have to beat them. Doesn't matter how good they are. Doesn't matter how bad they are. Doesn't matter about the quality of opponent. Doesn't matter if it's a road game or a home game. None of that matters. All that matters is just you have to win no matter what it is, no matter who it is, no matter what it's going to be. So what if they win? I don't know. What if the world comes to an end tomorrow? I mean, we could play the what-if game all day, but that's what at least we're going to have some fun with today. And other things, too, because we'll have some Razorback baseball to talk about. But we'll go ahead and bring in the guys that know all about the what-if game. And our big what-if guys, of course, it is Andrew Ellis and Curtis Wilkerson. So, guys, yeah, what if? What if that happens? What if that happens to y'all?
I think 2 things on the what-if. Like, first, to steal a great word from our friend and colleague Dudley Dawson, the genuflecting would be incredible. Just in terms of, people coming back around to the must bus and trying to hitch back onto that bandwagon as quickly as possible. Because we know how it is. When things are bad, the world's ending. When things are not bad, it doesn't get any better than Arkansas Razorback athletics, and especially the basketball program. The other side of that must be electric on social media. The man keeps receipts. Like, they would be incredible on social media, and it wouldn't just be fans. Like, it would be, like me. Like, they would clip me, from last week being like, look, this team is toast, man. They're done. And they would make fun of me for it, and I would retweet it and love it. Like, that is the kind of petty that you get on both ends of that. So that I would be more excited about that than anything else. But I will say, if that were to happen I don't know how the hell it would, but if it did, since we're playing that game, could you imagine like being the 5 or 6 seed in the NCAA tournament, and you're like a fringe top 25 team, but you're solidly in, and the brackets come out, and you're like, dang, we got to play the school that's been to 3 straight second weekends. Like, are you serious? That's a reward for a good season. The team that's won at that point, like a dozen games in a row or something. That would suck.
I think Curtis has the numbers, so I'll let him give a more educated answer on this. But I think if Arkansas were to win out, they would still have some work to do because they have 7 losses in conference, 8,
7 right now, 2 and 7.
So if they finished 11-7 in conference, that would obviously be good. Like, you want to finish up, that would be a nice little record, but their non-conference is so bad. I don't think their net would still be in a great spot. Now, it would come to that conversation of how does the committee view this team? Do they view it as the Jekyll and Hyde thing where they kind of put more stock into this recent run? I think we would start having...
Did the rebirth of Devo Davis change the narrative?
I think, what's crazy is, like, for people that think that the NCAA tournament doesn't take this stuff into account, they do. Absolutely. Like, we see teams all the time who peak at that right time, get in sometimes when they really probably don't deserve to. So I think we would start having a lot of those conversations, and I think they would still have work to do in the SEC tournament. It would make this season fun. It'd be cool to look back on. And, yeah, Curtis, I think that, all those post-game autopsies that Muss likes to do and go back and sift through all the stuff. We'd be in a lot of those. If he's sifting through them for stuff like that, he's going to sift through them whenever Arkansas goes on a run. So I agree with you. It'd be really fun to watch it and, like, just see how Arkansas would react to it. But that would mean good things for Devo Davis, I guess. So
yeah, they won 1 game at Missouri, and they did the whole barbecue chicken video.
Oh yeah, like so imagine if they strung together 2 decent wins.
Oh, dude,
yeah,
it would be awesome.
Yeah, and I think that the point you made, Curtis, was interesting. Where you're talking about facing off against this team, and you mentioned the NCAA tournament, but also think about it in the SEC tournament too.
Yeah,
where even if, like you said, Andrew, you may need a couple of games to get you going. And, I don't know exactly what 11-7 would relate to, because there could be a deal where you have 5 teams at 11-7, and who holds the tiebreaker ends up getting the seeding. So it could be anywhere from a 6 seed, from a 5-6 seed to a 9-10 seed. Yeah. I mean, it could be going anywhere. But just for the sake of the question, if they ended up being one of the lower sides of the seeding and they were going up against a 5 seed or whatever it may be, that's really going to be one of those deals to where they're like, man, why do we have to play Arkansas? Why do we have to, get to this point? Because it could be a team that's fighting for a higher seed in the NCAA tournament, where they're like, man, we need to, get off of that 5-12 realm. We need to get to that 4-3 seed and maybe win in some games. So it would just become where Arkansas has already been and kind of known to be a team once they get to the NCAA tournament that nobody really wants to play. But that would be an extra level of deals where it's like, okay, we really don't want to play them because, as we've seen so many times in the NCAA tournament or just in baseball or whatever, if you're a team that's hitting in a hot streak and hitting in stride at the right time, odds are you're not saying you'll go undefeated and win the national championship, but it's not going to be an easy game to win no matter how it's done and no matter how it's sliced up.
Yeah, and I mean, whether they went undefeated the rest of the way or not, like if they just did enough to creep back into the conversation or whatever, like the teams that are most dangerous in those conference tournaments are the ones that are motivated. Like they have a reason to be there. And it's not like, oh, we're going to win a couple games and play up a seed line or 2. Most of those teams that are already locked in, they don't care. Like it's the same way in baseball and everything else. But like with hoops, the last 2 or 3 years here, like they haven't cared about being there. I mean, yeah, you want to go out there and compete and win, whatever. But get, an Eric Musselman team on a heater that rolls into Nashville knowing like, hey, we got to do some serious damage to extend our season beyond the NIT, which we probably wouldn't go to anyway. Like that, I think there's something to that.
It's hard for me to even really have this conversation just because we
it's
haven't
ridiculous.
seen that team play, but
I think
that would be
by 20 to Georgia on Saturday.
100%.
Yeah.
But I think that really what would kick in is that desperation. And look, if Arkansas doesn't play with desperation down the stretch, then it's just never going to happen. It just won't happen. But I think that would be another factor is Arkansas would go into Nashville with that like us against the world mentality. They would still be kind of on that like, oh, they're next 4 out. They still got work to do. Like they would go to Nashville with such a unique bond and like you said, want to be there. I think that would make it so fun. And look, they're going to have that anyway. Like if they lose out, they're going to go into Nashville with a we got to win
it's their final chance.
And so it's like, hey, John, let's just who cares? Whatever happens in Nashville, our fate is decided.
Yeah. Well, I was even laughing at the fact that again, and none of us are saying this is going to happen, folks.
No. In fact, we're saying it's not going to happen.
In fact, it's quite the opposite. It's like we were saying there's no chance of it happening. But I am laughing at the fact that, we talked about that scenario, what's real, what's not. But here's actually what I think would be the most funny. Again, the funniest of everything. This would be the funniest type of scenario that we could have. is that Arkansas does win out the 9 straight wins. They get to the conference tournament, and they win every game, and they go into the SEC title game, but they run into that Tennessee team or whoever that's just really good and just doesn't match up, and Arkansas loses 67-64, and they get left out of the NCAA tournament, just similar to what Texas A&M had to happen.
Just happen to Texas A&M?
To Texas A&M, and then the Razorback fans would be irate.
Oh, yeah.
They would be, we need to get out of this conference like this. Who screwed us? They're just doing this because they hate Muss. Like, that to me would be the funniest thing, because you go from, in a matter of weeks, feeling like you even have a chance, and then you still get left out, and everyone's just irate because Arkansas deserves to be in. That's how Razorback fans would feel if that happened. I feel like that if there was an Arkansas type of thing to happen, it would be that. That would be the Arkansas thing to happen.
By the way, Arkansas fans, if it comes down to that situation and it's splitting hairs and it's whatever, just shut up. Yeah, there were so many chances for Arkansas to help themselves in this conversation, and they have refused at every turn. They barely beat Missouri. They tried to blow a lead against Missouri even. So it's like, I'm not going to have any sympathy for this team if they end up getting left out. And even if they do win 10 of 11 or 11 of 13 or whatever the hell it is, 8 of 9, like I'm not going to feel any sympathies for this team. They've sleptwalked through 70% of the season. Yeah. They can go suck a fat one. I don't care, man. I'm not going to feel any sympathy for them if they don't make the tournament.
But if you thought Buzz Williams with his 3-page written speech was something, imagine Muss just going up there and riffing it after they, because they would probably do the typical like, oh, join us for Selection Sunday wherever. And then if they got left out, and then Muss has to walk out there in front of a backdrop and give a speech.
Oh yeah, because like every year, the last 3 years, they've done that like party, the selection show party.
He's been pissed every year.
Mad.
He's been pissed every year. Would they even would they just not do anything? They would probably do like a team only thing, right?
I would assume.
Probably.
Even if they're on the bubble at all, like if they're anywhere, unless they won the SEC tournament. Man. Even then, they'd be like, they would have won it that day. So I don't know if they would be.
Yeah.
Because it was at Walk-Ons last year, right?
Was it Walk-Ons last year?
And the year before that was at the North End Zone in the stadium.
On the same day that football spring practice kicked off, too, which was stupid.
Oh, yeah. And then the year before that, they didn't do it because COVID
the year
or whatever.
before, they went straight from Nashville to Indianapolis. And like all the teams are like at the Motor Speedway and just like a whatever party room suite. Yeah.
I remember they did like a media availability and like there's like an airport. I don't know where they were at, but it's like
it was wild.
You can see like Justin Smith and there's like people like getting on escalators behind them.
We were on the Zoom and I don't think anybody was actually controlling it. Like the computer was just on or whatever, and different guys were coming and sitting down. Like Desi Sills just sits down and he's like, I'm so happy to be here. Yeah. This is what I've been grinding for, 100,
By the way, Desi Sills, one of the best winners in all of college basketball. He leaves Arkansas. The program immediately falls into turmoil. He leaves Clubber Tang. They got to win the other night, but Kansas State's taking a big step back.
It's kind of dicey over there.
Desi Sills is the glue that holds these programs together, and it's a wonder why the two programs close to him are struggling without him.
Not enough people were talking about it.
Where else did he go for a week? Didn't he go somewhere else? He was going to go to.
He was at Arkansas State for a year.
Arkansas State, but there was another SC Auburn.
It was Auburn.
Yeah.
Auburn that he committed to, and I guess they've done all right.
Yeah.
Arkansas State's doing all right too. So hey, maybe Desi Sills. It was just those two.
I think it was one of those deals where he committed to Auburn, but it was like Auburn's like, we didn't really fully offer you. I mean, we called you. We thought about, hey,
John.
Maybe,
he changed his decision and did it on his own accord.
Put on for his hometown.
Totally did that.
Walking bucket,
man. Yeah, it's just again to figure out like this basketball team and to even try to play like some positive thing. There's not really anything positive. And you mentioned the Georgia game. I don't think the lines come out on that game yet, but. I mean, I was thinking like, I don't think Arkansas is going to be a major underdog, but how do you not predict that they will be a 2-3 point underdog?
Talking about Saturday, at Bud Walton. I think they'll be
favored.
I think they'll be favored.
I think it's going to be within 2 or 3 points regardless. Yeah. Like I think they'll either be +1, +2, or -1. Yeah.
I'm betting Georgia. Like if Arkansas's favored,
I'm gonna really lock in tonight. And I'm going to watch Georgia, and I'll come with an educated answer.
I mean, I don't have to watch Georgia. I've watched Arkansas, and that's what I mean. And even if Georgia's favored by,
you haven't watched Arkansas off a bye week yet. We know Sam Pittman is a good post-bye week coach.
That's true.
Do we know if Eric Musselman is a good bye week coach?
Give him 4 more days to prepare. His record's pretty impeccable. So
especially he's able to bring back his
this
year, though. unfortunately.
Yeah.
They need
It's
to
been
bring in
bad.
Pittman and see if they can help because Pittman's a great bye week coach.
Yeah, I guess he is because, this past year was the only SEC win was off of a bye week. And I'm trying to think, year before that with the bye week was
BYU. No, it was they beat BYU, then they went into the bye week. Who'd they come back? Auburn, maybe? At Auburn?
I think that might be right.
Does sound
I think that is right.
Yeah.
I think they
it
went
was around
beat
that
Auburn,
same time. Yeah.
Pretty
So-
good performance. And then they beat somebody, Mississippi State, off a bye week.
That was
The year
they
before
did
in
that.
2021.
And in 2021 it was. I remember they played UAPB and then they got the bye week, and then they came back and actually, yeah, you're right. I think it was Mississippi State.
Yeah, because they had lost
that
to
was a wild
Auburn
one.
horribly their last trip, last home game in Fayetteville. And then they had the UAPB game or contest or exhibition. And then they came back and beat Mississippi
What's crazy, not to go on a football tangent too much, but like Auburn in Fayetteville has beat the brakes off of them.
Yeah.
They did it in 17 and in 19 and in 21 and 23.
It's just,
So-
the 21 one was the only one that was funny because it was like that
They
was
weren't
actually
even
a
good.
Yeah, they weren't good, and Arkansas
Yeah.
was good. It was kind of bizarre. I mean, it was like a 6-6 Auburn team that just beat the brakes off of an Arkansas team that almost would have won 10 games. Isn't that
nuts.
crazy to think about?
Yeah.
Like if they had just taken care of business as like a touchdown favorite at home.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they should. I mean, they should have. And but again, that's like the story of Arkansas in a nutshell. It's always woulda, coulda, shoulda. But yeah, that was a weird game. But either way,
I am pretty confident that Sam Pittman's message would resonate in the basketball locker room.
Guys, hey, let me tell you guys. Hey, come on, guys. Hey, come on, guys.
and then they just bust the doors open and they run out there. I mean, who needs
Half of
Jimmy
them will
V
be like,
than
who
when
the
you
hell
got
is
that?
this guy?
Yeah, who
You
needs
think Caleb Battle knows who Sam Pittman is? Gun to his head.
No.
If you put Brock Sam Pittman with not Arkansas stuff in front of Caleb Battle, I don't know if he would be like, yeah, that's the head football coach. That's Pittman.
I think he probably would know. He's like, that's the football coach, but I don't think he knows.
Yeah,
his
he
name.
might not know Pittman.
Yeah, I mean, just to be honest about it
Hey,
too.
below the yellow line has a good comment.
Well, lock the gates. Lock the gate. I forgot about that one too. Yeah, lock the gates.
I love that.
Man, was that Texas that they did that for? I think it was
I
the
don't
Texas
know.
game.
It sounds right.
My
Maybe.
favorite pregame speech of all time. They need to get Jason Brown from Last Chance U to come
yeah.
in here.
Yeah.
The one where he's like, "You mother effers better be ready to play."
Yep, and that's all you. That's
him
all
in
you
the
needed.
mouth.
Yeah, or the one that gets played all the time of Houston Nutt out there in his first pregame speech. I'll see you in 25 seconds. I'll see you in 25 seconds. Yeah, I got me hyped. Let me tell you. But anyways,
Houston Nutt is like the coach's version of cocaine. It's like you can't rely on cocaine for a lifestyle, but you can have some
It
freaking
can-
fun every now and then.
yeah,
About 3
it's-
weeks out
it's
of
not
the year.
sustainable.
No, it's definitely
It's
not
not
sustainable.
But
Fun.
if you hit at the right time, and if you hydrated that day, and you're in Vegas, and you're walking tall, then maybe.
And you can always feel it coming too, where it's like when they beat LSU in 07, it's like you can kind of feel it. It's like this feels like this is going to be a huge
Yeah.
thing with cocaine, which I've never done. But it's like you can kind of tell. It's like, hey, I know I can't do this forever, but tonight we're going to have fun.
Tonight's going to happen, and probably has a big letdown against ULM or something like that. But tonight,
See, but that's what Musk
gonna
needs to
happen.
start doing is forget the game in, game out. Just go
Cocaine?
all in
just
on
do cocaine.
one of
Is
these
that what
two
you're saying?
games.
Just do cocaine.
Well, I'm not going to comment on that, John, but I think that they should go all in on one of these games down the stretch. Like whether it's Bama, Tennessee, don't worry about any of these other ones. Just focus in on that one and be all in and have your best performance of the year with one.
So you're saying that they need to go #1-0
Only in that one game, yeah.
just in that one game. Need to go 1-0.
Sounds like a Super Bowl to me.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I mean, Arkansas plays well in Super Bowls. We've determined the Super Bowl's this Sunday.
So this
Why
Saturday
not
against
harness
Georgia,
some of that energy?
if Arkansas wins, it was just because Georgia was
Super,
Arkansas
yeah.
Super Bowl.
Yep.
Got it. As long as the rules have been established.
I'm
Yes.
sure
We're
the
good
Georgia
there.
basketball fan will reach out and say, "Hey, were we all Super Bowl?" At least you don't have to worry about that because I don't think anybody in Georgia is concerned about that basketball team.
No, not until they actually do something of note. I think they're still celebrating that national championship from 2 years ago. So, yeah, they've been doing that way. But a few of your comments, though, we got below the yellow line. He's been just screaming in all caps. But also says, for real, any chance we make the NCAA tournament if we did manage to win out?
No.
Yes,
mean-
they would, because if they won out, that would mean they won the SEC tournament, in which case they would get an automatic bid
Yes.
to the NCAA tournament.
If you're talking about all the games, yes. But if you're talking about regular season, No, they would still need help.
Yeah, I
they
think
would still need help.
Curtis, we'll pull up the thing. What is Ken Palm literally like? There's a lot of numbers on that page, but basically Arkansas would still be in trouble if they won out, right?
Yeah, I mean, if they won out, their net estimated would still be higher than 100.
That's good.
They'd be 7 spots off the bubble. Like,
There you go.
Great.
Yeah,
That's not too bad.
That's a good.
They'd be in
stat.
striking distance if they won 9 straight games.
and it's crazy too. And that should tell you something because I mean, if they won 9 games, that it does. It gets you to 20 wins and 11 SEC wins. Like that's guaranteed NCAA tournament resume, like always. But when you get your ass kicked as many times as they have, like that stuff, it's killed them.
That's another thing is like if they
the blowouts.
If they won out and all the games were 34-point wins, then really that net would move a little. You could really get into it.
Yeah.
And then there's also the variables of like teams that are currently highly ranked that fall. Like we would have to really, at the very least though, if they won out, we would have to start refreshing that BPI every day and refreshing that net and talking about it, which I would love to do. I mean, when we first started talking about stuff we were thinking about doing, we were like, oh, we'll do a resume update every week. And now it's like useless.
Yeah, I would
love to just analyze Arkansas's resume, but
I would love to have exciting basketball things to talk about besides hypothetically window shopping guys who are on current rosters out of the transfer portal a month before the season's over.
And especially with like, because I think A&M was 4-8 in SEC play 2 years ago when that happened, and they won out and went 10-8.
Yeah, they went like undefeated in February.
Yeah, then they finished 10-8. Then they went to the SEC tournament and went to the title game. I think lost to Kentucky that year, and still didn't make it. Or Tennessee, Tennessee,
like back-to-back years.
Yeah, and so you're talking about they had a much better setup and I know net rankings and opponents and all that are different, but still, it's like they had a better setup. I mean, guess going 11-7, 10-8, whatever it is, but still, if they didn't get in, it kind of gives you a little bit of a precedent of what's the difference there. So, yeah, not saying it's going to happen, folks. None of us are saying it's going to happen, but there were some other things that we wanted to jump into, and this is, of course, I feel like it's always sad. It's always sad, but it's got to do with Razorback Baseball. Our guy, my dude, Peyton Stovall, Stovey, if you will, as was, of course, talked about with Andrew Ellis, and in that scrimmage that he had, he hit a ball off of his foot, which was, hurt him, and he stopped running. He still went out there to hit, but we didn't know the extent of the injury, how bad it was. Well, we found it out because he's going to miss 4 to 6 weeks with a broken right foot. It's not going to require surgery, so that is a positive. But the recovery timeline might allow Stovall to return before SEC play begins in mid-March. Now, we talk about injuries and how it always happens, and injuries are part of it. But I hate this not only for Arkansas, but I really hate it for Stovall. He's a guy who had surgery on his shoulder to get back to where he's playing well, and reasonably, this is going to be his final year at Arkansas, you would assume, because he's going to go into the MLB draft and probably be drafted pretty high as a prospect. But it's great he's not having surgery. Again, positives, but it just sucks that now to start the year, you're going to be without somebody that everybody was excited to see now that he was healthy, now that he had a surgery, now that he was ready to go. And the fact that he is having to deal with this now and we're not going to be able a chance to see him for a while. It's just, again, it sucks for Arkansas, but it really sucks for him because I know how eager he was to get back onto the field after missing the end of last season, not being able to play.
Yeah, I think, I'll talk a lot about this on tomorrow's edition of the Bombastic Podcast, so y'all can tune into that. But I also just think, this is, like you said, it's less about how this affects the team and how are they going to replace them. And, these questions, we can talk about them. It's pretty simple to me. I think that's not going to be that hard. I think they're going to be able to make this work. And, he should be back for conference play. So I don't think big picture this is going to, derail this team's season or anything close to that. But like you said, it's just unfortunate for the individual because we love him. We expect him to kind of take that step forward and be the guy that we've always expected him to be and knew he can be. So it sucks that we're never going to get to see, a full season of Peyton Stovall cooking. I think most fans would agree, though, they'd rather have him cooking in June than in April or March or whatever it is going to be that he misses or whenever he comes back. So, yeah, it sucks. But everyone's freaking out and acting like this is the Jackson Wiggins thing or this is Peyton Paulette where it's another huge injury to a star. I don't think this one is as detrimental to the team. And that's not a knock on Stovall, but it's just I think this team is built to withstand stuff like this, especially for 4 to 6 weeks. This is not going to be a thing that changes the complexion of the program or the team for this season. I think they're going to be fine, but like you said, it just kind of sucks for Stovall.
Do we know, like, where on his foot that like it was a toe? Was it his actual foot?
I'm going to believe it was his actual foot because I watched him get hit by a pitch twice in the foot, and like it was so funny. It was the exact same spot.
Oh,
it's like one of those funny things where it's like the guy that keeps getting picked off and thrown, they keep hitting him in the head or something like that. He literally gets hit by a pitch, kind of walks it off weird, funny, and then stays in the box, gets a base hit, comes back later in the scrimmage, gets hit again in the foot, stays in the box, gets another base hit. And it was like, by the time the second one happened, I literally was like laughing. I was like, oh, that's funny that he got hit in the same spot again.
Was his front foot?
Yeah, it was like his right foot. I guess he's in the left-handed batter's box. His front foot, his right foot. And I definitely did not think broken foot was on the radar, especially whenever he got a base hit right afterwards. But I mean, I guess we've seen him get hits with injuries before. But yeah, it just was definitely. And I mean, he even tweeted something out after the game where he was like, "Oh, no, it's fine. Like, just kind of got hit in the foot. Like, it is what it is." But
yeah, just a broken foot. Whatever it is.
From a baseball standpoint, because like he needs it. He's not having surgery, so like he'll probably be in a boot and stuff. But he'll need it to heal the right way. But you might know more about this than me. But like, how much is he going to be able to swing? Like keep his timing and
see. That's what I'm thinking. Is like. I don't know. I mean, I guess we'll really have to just hear how he progresses in these next few weeks. I would imagine just, at least for the time being, nothing.
Nothing for a couple weeks.
Sitting on a bag of ice or whatever. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think. I guess it would be better if it was his back foot, right, for hitting?
Probably, yeah, because I don't know.
I mean,
I'd have to get on mess with it.
Yeah,
that front foot. I bet it's not going to be as detrimental as the shoulder injury.
No, yeah,
when you can't throw.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think it'll have less of an impact. See, like the shoulder injury really affected his swing in a big way. I think there might be some pain when he's first coming back, but hopefully it won't like affect the way his swing mechanics work, which I don't think will be an issue, which it really was last year.
And I'll say, like, I texted him when I saw the news and just said, man, that sucks. And he even said that, of course, he's really bummed, but talked about when he went to the doctor said it was extremely unlucky. Like, this type of thing doesn't happen. This type of thing is just, to have it to where, you see guys take hits on the foot all the time, but basically it was like had to be a perfectly timed, perfectly done, right there like that time, chop. And $1 million to 1 shot, Doc, $1 million to 1 shot.
Somebody hasn't been
and that's
drinking
what it
their
was.
milk.
So it just that's what I think is even more frustrating when he told me that. I was like, Dad gummit, man. So you're talking about it's like something that's not even common. It's not even something that could happen.
I just imagine the doctor telling Stovall, "Hey man, this is a very unfortunate and bad luck injury," and he's like, "No shit." Really?
Yeah. I mean, it's the most Arkansas thing, like type of deal.
Also,
ever,
everyone has the wrong opinion on this. Guys, you should hope we're sneaking one by the injury gods here is what we're doing.
Exactly.
This is like we're just kind of, hey, we'll trade you our second baseman for a month, maybe a little bit longer. Don't ruin any of our arms.
Yeah. Just stick with that. Yeah, knock on wood.
Arkansas always has an injury a week before the season. They had it. This is it. No, not too bad.
The question now becomes, okay, so who's going to replace him at second? Like, who's going to be the guy?
So I would imagine there's probably two obvious situations. Peyton Holt, I should say, moved over there. He's a very obvious candidate. He's probably going to start at third base when everything is normal. But him or Jared Spraglott, the transfer from Richmond, I feel like are the two obvious ones. Older guys. Spraglott could play short, second, or third. So they've been he's like their primary backup at every spot. So I'd imagine it's going to be one of those guys, a matter of one of them will be at second, one will be at third. Who knows? Maybe they'll get weird and move Jason Jones to third and maybe move Stovall or Holt to second. Like, who knows? But they've got, like I said, they've got options. Like, it's not really going to affect things that on a deep, like where everyone's going to have to move around or anything. I think it'll be fine.
No more injuries.
Yeah.
All right. No more injuries.
Won't happen. They're fine.
Hey, getting banged up, getting dings, stuff like that happens. It's part of it. But no more major injuries. I have no more 4 to 6, 8 to 10 season. None of that. Just this is it. That's all we can muster right now.
Shout out to my Twitter follower Blaine Kinsley. Ever since he's left, there's been a dramatic uptick in Arkansas sports or baseball injuries. I will just leave it at that. There's been a dramatic uptick in Arkansas injuries since Blaine Kinsley stopped being the strength coach. I'm just gonna leave it at that.
Just putting 2 and 2 together. Okay. I mean,
if the numbers were like a few injuries, but there's been like 13 in the last 18 months.
I mean,
it's a lot of injuries.
Like the thing that happened last year still. There's a lot of absurd things that have happened in Razorback sports. That may have been still, to me, one of the most absurd things I've ever seen in sports.
Especially because it's not like TJ. You had 8 guys get Tommy John surgery because everybody that throws hard at some point is pretty much going to have it. But I mean, they had every type of injury. I mean, hamstrings, calves, ribs, whatever, like hands, feet, shoulders, like everything.
I'm trying to remember. I think it may have been Bolton. Was Bolton the one that had a concussion? Somebody, I think, had a concussion.
Somebody definitely did.
Because I think they were sliding into second, like a knee hit him or something happened.
Well,
like
and then
that.
you had, I think it was Bolton that got a concussion. You had Parker Rowland's back hurt.
Yeah.
You had Jared Wagner broke his thumb. You had Tavian Josenberger had a hamstring injury.
It was literally like an ER unit over there. Like
Dylan Carter had 2 separate ones. He sprained his ankle and tore his UCL. He just went ahead and knocked them both off.
Yeah, because even like Hunter Holland, remember him?
He pitched. He
kept
didn't miss
pitching,
too
but
many
he couldn't feel when he. I remember he told me every time he pitched, when he landed, he couldn't feel his foot landing.
Yeah,
because they had numb it up so much to him to play through the pain that he was just hoping that whenever it landed, it stuck.
Hawk fans are going to be stunned when Hunter Holland pitches in the big leagues in about 18 months. Yeah, they're going to be like, "Holy cow, that guy was way better than we realized." Because he was playing banged up the whole down the stretch. Dude, in the fall last year, he was like 95, 96. That's what kind of got him on the radar as a prospect. And he was good last year, and he took the ball every week, but it was not the peak version of him. So I think Hawk fans are going to be a little surprised when they see how good he is once he really gets rolling. And probably same with Stovall, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And Jackson Wiggins for that matter.
Man, yeah, just all the players that they got they didn't get a chance to see.
Jackson Wiggins is going to be a stud in the big leagues, and we're going to be like, oh, man.
Man, yeah. Well, and also, by the way, fun fact, if you're watching, Hunter Holland is sending us a autographed rookie card.
Is that right?
Ooh, dude.
All right.
Speaking of injuries, Hunter Holland's mom broke her leg last year.
Yeah, she was wheeling around in the wheelchair.
Yeah.
She was in the wheelchair and everything, and it was because of the dog of theirs. Like jumped, she was like trying to do something and jumped and knocked her over into a table. Another freak accident type of thing. Everybody was hurt last year.
Man. Matt Hobbs.
Yeah, it's like everybody was just banged up and limping around, and it was just awful. It was awful. So, but again, you hate it for Stovall, but. Silver linings. At least he'll be back for SEC when it really gets going for SEC play.
Yeah, his first at bats will be against like 98-mile-an-hour SEC pitchers.
Great,
ideal.
What better way? What better way to just throw them into the mix and get them going there too?
Hey, by the way, in the next 4 weeks, if everyone wants to like float these takes where they're like, "Oh, actually, who needs Stovall? Jared Sprague hit 2 doubles." Shut up! Don't do it.
Yeah,
shut up.
It's going to happen.
I know it's going to happen.
Going to happen.
They did it last year. It's like this team is going to be a better team when Peyton Stovall is hitting second or maybe leading off, and it's fine.
Well, and as I'll always allude to, there's some times where in some areas and some teams and some programs you can't do this. I trust Dave Van Horn probably more so than any other coach on campus for when it comes to doing the right thing and playing the right players.
Who is good and who's not.
Yeah. I mean, he was on MLB Network today.
Yeah. Clearly he knows ball.
Yeah, and he was talking about the players and how he gets them ready, and because they were asking about having these guys in the big leagues, and I thought it was really interesting, which I wish we could play the clip, but I thought it was really interesting how he broke down. He's saying like, wait, we just don't simply get guys ready for the pros. We get them ready to fight through minor league, where you got to be prepared, you got to be better, you got to work harder, you got to be to that. Where you got to be tough. It's not unless you're just someone who's just like, oh, I'm here for maybe a year and you're just that a level of an elite talent, but most of the guys got to work their way through minor leagues.
Yeah.
And so it's like, okay, hearing that, it seems like Dave probably has a good idea of like what he's doing.
Well, I mean, Dave Van Horn he's such a ball knower that he coaches the Arkansas Razorbacks and the Arizona Razorbacks. So
that's right. That's right. Yeah. As they called them.
Not many people can do that. So
I mean, he probably just got him mixed up with the Arizona Diamondbacks, Arizona Razorbacks.
Sure.
And plus Dominic Fletcher just got traded from the Diamondbacks. It's all over the place.
Yeah, I'm sure all of that went into play.
To your point, though, John, Dave had a bar the other day at the Swatters Club where someone asked him about Gage Wood and his progression. He was like, "Oh, Gage, he's going to be fine. He's pretty good as a freshman. He's going to be really good as a sophomore and great as a junior, and he'll get drafted high. That's how we do it around here."
I like
that. And just left it at that. And I was like, whoo! Man. I was like, man, that's a bar.
I love that. And see, that's what I love about Dave, too, is he is I'm not saying he's quiet, but he's just like a very direct, very chill, but confident. Like he just swells confidence.
Extreme Dracula in her. He's very similar to Dracula, the way he carries himself and speaks. Like they have very similar tendencies. I mean, seriously. The way he delivers his lines are very similar.
We had to throw it in there. Had to have a Dracula reference too. But yes, Dracula type of energy, I guess, would be the way. But yeah, so we got a few comments coming in here too.
We got a report from Blake Taylor here.
What's that?
We got a report from Blake Taylor.
Saw Stovall at the U-Rec today, and he is in a boot.
Sources.
That settles it.
I mean, listen, if you break your foot, I think it's probably best that you are in a boot.
Dude, they throw that walking boot on folks like it's nobody. The football team loves to do it, and which, by the way, walking boots help. Like, I get it. But they do it even if, like, anything happens. Like, if you stub your toe, they put you in a walking boot. So all the time, there'll be people who are like, oh.
Wasn't there a basketball player that, was it Anthony Black, that was always in a walking boot, and everyone just kept freaking out?
Well, yeah, Anthony Black was in a walking boot
for a year.
For the back half of the season, and he was wearing it when we interviewed him on Selection Sunday, and everybody's like, oh, man, is he going to be ready to go? But, yeah, Council, me and Andrew were sitting outside of Bud Walton Arena. We were like the only people that went to the Duke Deuce concert / dunk contest that they had.
PWA Live. I forgot about that.
We were hanging outside of Bud Walton Arena, and Council came walking in a walking boot, and we're like, oh man, like he's, that's probably not a good thing. And then he won the damn dunk contest. So like,
well, and what's funny is Nick Smith at that point in time was not in a walking boot.
Looked great. Yeah,
he was a late scratch for the dunk contest.
Yeah,
and we were like, whatever. Yeah. But at least Council's healthy. And then it turned out Nick Smith maybe he was hurt.
It's weird behavior, man.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Nothing better than a good pig injury.
I love how, like, the things that we have always talked about, or at least today, is talking about injuries and people that still played through it are like, we're still fine. Even though you felt like, they may have been injured, but then they're still good. Like we talk about Stovall, the guy, I know last year hit a grand slam, and then the next week he's like, I have to have surgery on my shoulder. I was like, okay, you hit a grand slam. And you mentioned he breaks his foot apparently, but still goes out in the box and gets hits.
Yeah, that's like, crazy. So, apparently it's not going to affect his swing too much. I watched him rope a line drive through the left side the other day with a broken foot, so he'll be fine.
Yeah, but it's just funny how that always it seems to be the case, and for some players too. And also, Byron says, will we ever have another Blaine Knight? Well,
look, I got
the guy goes undefeated.
I got to push a narrative here that people are not going to like, John.
Great.
Not only will Arkansas have another Blaine Knight, they have like 4 every year. Let's just be honest. Blaine Knight was awesome. One of the best starting pitchers Arkansas has ever had. They had a better starting Friday night starter than him literally the next season with Isaiah Campbell.
But nobody remembers that because he had lost that one game.
Arkansas averaged like 7.4 runs in support of Blaine Knight that year. And like I love Blaine Knight. And he took the ball, and his numbers are not as good as because he had a lead, so he was pitching with the lead. I get all that. But Arkansas, he's not even like in the top 3 or 4 Friday night starters Arkansas's had under
speaking
DVA.
Truth right now.
Like I'm being honest with you, and like I love Blaine Knight's one of my favorite Hogs. John and I were talking the other day about whenever he was talking about Cody Clemens, and he's like, he's going to have to hit my pitch and all that.
I don't care if he got 24 jacks on the year or not. I'm going after
calling him jacks. Like, also, cool.
24 jacks.
He's got 24 jacks. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Blaine Knight's a dog, man, and he really should have been like the star of the best team that won the national title, and he did his part. I still yes, there will be another Blaine Knight. I would say Arkansas has minimum 2 starters this year better than Blaine Knight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I think that
Hagen's better. Hagen was better than Blaine Knight last year.
When I think with the Blaine Knight deal too, like everything, man, it's yes, he went undefeated. That's a huge deal, but also he was on the best team, and so that's what people are going to kind of go back and remember and be like, oh well, because he was on the best team, because he went undefeated. Yeah. Therefore, he's the best. And again, great. I love Blaine Knight too, but statistically and athletically, talent-wise, skill-wise, there's been a lot of players that have been just as good. It's just that's what when you put those two things together, that's what they're going to remember.
Well, and like the one loss Isaiah Campbell had, I looked it up the other day after we talked about it. It was a 3-1 game that he gave up 1 run in against Vanderbilt.
Unacceptable.
In like 6 or 7 innings. Like
trash.
I'm not going to let that distract me from the fact that he's the best starting pitcher Arkansas has had this decade.
He's a bum.
Yeah. The thing is Isaiah
Campbell, who got booed off the field the year before in the regionals, didn't get an out in the regionals.
And that was the Blaine Knight year.
Yeah, that was the Blaine Knight year. Yeah. By the way, speaking of Blaine Knight, I want to give him some props though. I remember him talking up Campbell after the Supers and just being like, "Man, he's such a dog, man. We've been cheering for him so hard," and like they all wanted him to succeed so bad. And down the stretch that year, Campbell had some huge moments of his emergence was kind of a big deal for them. But I love that. I could talk about those teams.
Oh yeah, for those were
years,
fun,
man.
And it's just unfortunate the year that with Isaiah Campbell, who was so good, like they went 0-2 in barbecue in College World Series.
Well, that's another thing is like he got a no decision in Omaha despite breaking the strikeout record.
What was it? The first game they lost to Florida State. I think it was 1-0.
Yeah,
and then
which was not his run either.
No, and then they lost to Texas Tech the next game, like 3-1 or something.
Yeah.
It was very
I think it
low
ended up being
scoring.
like 4-3, but yeah, it was very low
it was
scoring.
so you're talking about again, like 2 runs, the difference in you going 0-2 and 2-0. I mean, but that's baseball, but still, that's the unfortunate thing is. That 2015 team that went 0-2 was like, I was like, oh, that made sense because that team had no business being in Omaha.
Shout out to Tyler Spoon who hit like second on that team.
Yeah, it's like you had Benny Biceps and just our guy Bobby Wernis, going out getting walk-offs.
Bobby Wernis was like hit cleanup on the team too. Like it was crazy.
Yeah. So it's just, and that just goes to show you like how crazy baseball can be, man. Like in those regards, because I'm not saying it was a better team than what was in 2018, but it potentially could have been in that same position, like when it came around. Because I didn't even remember in 2019 who was obviously Isaiah was the ace.
So you had Wicklander and Nolan as true freshmen.
I knew Wick was on. I didn't remember.
Neither of which they trusted more as they could throw them. Like they pulled both of them in that super regional against Ole Miss. They pulled Wicklander with like 1 out in the second inning or something like that because like it was like cannot mess around.
Oh man!
And that ended up not even being their undoing. Like they ended up just not hitting. And offensively, that 2019 team put up better numbers across the board.
You had a guy named Heston Kerstad, which I remember was pretty good.
Helps.
Very good.
I mean, he wasn't bad. Just still another thing we didn't get to see him in 2020. It's like just such a downer.
Was there a cooler hog than Dominic Fletcher? Just pure cool.
Not many, man. He had
cool.
there's always a cool factor in baseball. If you're a center fielder, you know what I'm talking about? Like like think about Ken Griffey. Like that guy was the coolest center fielder. Something about the center fielder that kind of comes along with being cool. I don't know what it is. But yes, Dominic Fletcher was a cool dude.
And he was a cool short dude, which is also hard to do. Like it's hard to be cool when you're short, but him and Peyton Holden successfully pulled it off.
Yeah, the cool factor. Cool factor's there for him. So
John Bolton did too.
That's right.
By the way, I want to apologize. I feel like I talk so bad about John Bolton just because I hype up Vahiva Aloy, and I'm like, look, I know Arkansas was good last year, but they're going from John Bolton to Vahiva Aloy, and I say that, and I'm always like,
well, you can apologize to him on Friday. He's going to be here at
I
our
will
launch
apologize
party.
to him because I keep referencing him in a negative light. But John Bolton's the man. I appreciate his efforts.
And I'm going to also, because me and John Bolton have talked a lot, and he's very self-aware, which I appreciate him. But he's also like, we even talked the other day. He's like, dude, I had to replace Jalen Battles.
Yeah,
that's tough.
And the dude
then
after him
coming, he's like, I could have been solid. I could have been like, good all SEC, but it wouldn't matter because I'm not Jalen Battles.
You can't be the guy who replaces the guy. That's such a tough spot.
Well,
it's
honestly,
so unfortunate.
I don't mind throwing a shot at this guy. Harold Cole screwed everyone because he was the guy. He was the shortstop they brought in, and then he just didn't win the job. Like John Bolton got criticized just because he beat out Harold Cole, who really was the one that was like the bust. So it's like, I think John Bolton's PR team needs to step up, and they need to let out a statement that deflects the blame to Harold Cole.
Yeah, one of these days I'm going to get him on my show and talk about it because he had some really interesting stories. Because again, people may not know, but Bolton was a huge Ole Miss guy. Like his whole family's Ole Miss.
He's from Tennessee, right?
Right. I mean, they are Ole Miss people. And when he was coming out of Texas, I guess, and kind of look for a new place. Nobody called him, nobody like Ole Miss or anything. But then he said when Arkansas and Dave Van Horn called him, he's like, yeah, coming. I'm there. Like, I'm there immediately.
I remember when he committed, I remember reading it on my phone and saying, what? I was like, bro, what? Why are they bringing in this guy?
Yeah.
But I'm glad they did.
Yeah, and because even the whole deal where you're talking about replacing not only Jalen Battles from that, but also in second base, Robert Moore. The tandem, the double play team. I felt like Bolton and Stovall, in most regards, they did a pretty good job of turning two, which is a big thing.
Mm-hmm. Especially. And then Bolton also had to deal with like a different second baseman every week down the stretch. There was like Jason Jones played second base. Like there was a revolving door all around.
It was all over the place. And, it was just mainly because of his batting. Like he just didn't hit very well. And again, Jalen Battles was great. And with Aloy, man, this guy, the way you keep hyping him up, I mean, I know, but it's right. It's not like you're hyping him up for no reason. Like it's legitimate. I mean, it's
well, he's going to be here for 2 years, which is awesome,
dude. It's
kind of crazy.
That's fun.
Yeah,
I love that. I love the fact that you have. I mean, there's going to be some players that are going to be going missing after. I mean, Hagen Smith's gone, Stovall's gone. Like those are it's going to be some of the big ones. I know Like you're going to have some guys that are still you're hoping to like Tiger. I mean, is Tiger going to be gone after this year?
So it's weird. He's a polarizing draft prospect. If you check one board, he's like number 12 overall prospect. Then like Joe Doyle had him like 158 the other day, which like 158 you still probably sign.
Yeah,
but it's like. Yeah, like I don't know if he gets banged up, then like weird stuff happens. Who knows? But I would imagine if he stays relatively healthy at all, I think he's going to end up being like a top 2 or 3 round guy. And so
I really hope Gage Wood takes a step further this year too. I like that guy.
The
Man, he's
sophomore
psychotic.
class is going to be what makes or break this team. I think. Like, as you think of like guys like Jason Jones, Gage Wood, Parker Coyle, Ben Bybee, and Christian Faust, some of those other arms, like they make or break the pitching staff. And Jason Jones, if he takes the step that he should take. It kind of makes you feel a little bit better about the team overall this year, and then looking ahead to next year. You're like, all right, you got Vahiva and Jason Jones and potentially a few other position players that can emerge, and then a pitching staff that's going to be loaded as always. Like it really makes sense, but I think it's a 2-year window for this team. I think this year the window's wide open, but I think it really is a 2-year.
By the way, Hunter asked, do you guys think we'll get to number 1 and stay there for a while, like in 2021? I think this team does get to number 1 at some point, but I mean,
they could do it as early as 2 weeks into the season. I mean, if they go 2-1, if they go 3. I mean, they went 3-0 in Arlington a couple years ago and went number 1. So it's like, they could do it pretty quick. So
was that the year it was like Texas, TCU, and like
Texas Tech?
Yeah, like just take the Texas team. So,
but yeah, if they like show up and show out in Arlington and go 3-0, they'll get to. I mean, they're going to be like number 2, 3 right away. So if they play well right away, then they have Missouri to open conference play, so they could rattle off they could be like 19-2 at one point. In which case,
and I'm sure no one will overreact to that record, and no one will expect 10 straight SEC series victories. Won't happen, right? Because how many they went in SEC series? Was it 7-3 last year?
I don't know what they went in the series like.
I think it was 7-3. If you think about it, you went 10-0, 7-3. I mean, this year. Again, knowing how good this team is, it's going 8-2 or something like that wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility. So, getting spoiled. SEC play, Razorback basketball not so good over the past few years, but Razorback baseball has been really good too. So, also love what Kingsley says. He's like, "Yo, I'm on the last day of a 3-day water-only fast, and it's getting tough coming down the stretch."
I saw he was doing this last night.
Natty State Sports Fellows to turn me up. Why are you doing the water-only fast? I wonder.
I don't know.
It's tough. A little cleanse action.
Is it religion?
Kingsley, we ride with you, man. We're going to do what we can, but we can only do so much.
That's
Suck
right.
on a lemon or something, man.
Yeah. Let's say, does Propel count? Could you do Propel as the water? Would that be water?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, if it was just like pure
that should
liquid, maybe I could pull that off, but I don't know.
I don't even want to think about pure liquid diet for 3 days and what
Yeah, I know.
could be coming out.
I was talking to Curtis. Me and Curtis. Well, Curtis is doing it. I might start intermittent fasting with him.
Is that why? Can you just go like
you eat it like only specific times, basically.
Yeah, you stop eating at 7 or 8 at night or whatever, and you just skip breakfast, basically.
I do that anyway, so maybe.
Yeah.
See, I don't. That's what I was gonna say. Is like I ate breakfast this morning, but I never eat breakfast hardly.
See, I always skip breakfast. And
Some people are weird with it. Some people will take it to the extreme of I will only eat during a 4-hour window every day. That's kind of crazy. But
He said they eat like 1 in 5 or something like that.
yeah, or,
That's crazy.
Yeah, from 3 to 7 they can eat, and then never again. That's a little much for me.
Ice Cold Mint Joe says he's fasting until basketball wins again.
Yeah, Kingsley, be a man. Fast until the basketball team wins a game against a real opponent.
Yeah. Well, I like also Kingsley when we were asking about Propel. He says, nope, nothing with flavor, just coffee. What?
So coffee doesn't count?
Doesn't coffee dehydrate you? Right?
Yeah, but I guess if
Caffeine?
only you're drinking water, you ain't worried about being dehydrated. Like,
I
if you
guess
drink
that's
coffee,
true. Yeah. I guess that's true. Yeah. But still, it's just like
Hey,
nothing with flavor, I guess.
Kingsley, do not watch the 6-pack today because we talked a lot of food on the 6-pack.
Yeah, you probably want to stay
like an
away from that
absurd
one.
amount of food, actually.
Yeah. If you're hungry.
So yeah, if you're hungry, like maybe skip the last 15 minutes of the. Actually, skip to the very end when we talk about dip
Yeah,
spit.
then you'll be
Oh,
fine.
yeah,
You won't be
that-
struggling
That's
at all.
right. Yeah, we did talk about dip spit.
I already heard comments about that one as well, too. Hunter also asked, do we score over 20 runs in any of the
Yes.
JMU games?
Yes, I do. I actually said the other day, I think this series reminds me of the Bucknell series, which I think they scored 32 in that
Yes,
one game.
that
I don't
was
know if they're going to
great.
score 30, but
32?
Yep.
yeah, it was a 32
It's
to
like
4
32
game.
to, yeah.
And then they
Stupid.
won the Sunday game like 4-3 or something like that, where it was like
Baseball, man.
Yeah, I remember that 32-4 game. Casey Martin hit 2 home runs, and I remember being like, this fake freshman just like feasting on this pitching. Like, this is not legit. Casey
And
Martin.
it's a
ended up-
4-game series, right?
4-game
So
series.
imagine what JMU's pitching is going to look like by that Monday or whatever. Like it's
I don't know
I don't
how.
even. It may be one of us out there, but might as well be
Yeah.
pitching.
Dude, the
They're gonna
funniest
be
thing, by the way,
shambles.
we always talk about scheduling and like how these things happen. Musk is like, every time you ask Musk about scheduling, he's like, talk to Ruda. I don't know. I don't do it. Like, it's very obvious. if you ask DVH, he'll give you not only the answer, but a very he'll be like, yeah, I called him, tried to get him to play on Tuesday. They countered and said maybe Tuesday and Wednesday. And he'll give you
it's like a negotiation.
He said they were trying to find a midweek game and just nobody wanted to play before they went to Arlington.
Right.
But they didn't want to do Wednesday because they travel
sense,
and James Madison they ended up settling on a 4-game series. And I'm like, all right.
Yeah. Well, be nice.
Cool, man.
I can't wait for Arkansas to lose one of those games, and then people just
Hopefully they lose
panic,
on Monday after the rankings come out.
Yes,
they win
that
the
way,
first 3 and they're ranked number 1, and then they lose.
Because that
on
way,
Monday.
if they sweep in the next zone, it's like, it won't impact them. No one will remember that.
I always love. By the way, my favorite college baseball thing that happens is when early in the year you'll see Florida lose to Jacksonville on Tuesday, and people will be like, "Oh, we're moving to number 1. Florida lost," and it's like, nope. Not quite.
It's not how it works. Not how it works. But we got some other things we're going to talk about here, folks, after a while. But I got to tell you about Manscaped because, listen, as they say, roses are red, violets are blue. Trim your balls. And your date will thank us, too. Because Valentine's Day is knocking. February 14th, that holiday that means so much to your significant other. Well, Manscaped is the remedy for just what the Love Doctor ordered. His prescription is the all-new Performance Package 5.0 Ultra, designed to elevate your grooming game and shine like the heartthrob that you all are. Join the 10 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with our exclusive offer here on Natty State Sports. If you go to manscaped.com, you can snag 20% off plus free shipping as long as you enter in the code NATTY. That's Natty, NATTY. 20% off and free shipping only with Manscaped because, listen, they got all different types of tools to choose from when it comes to keeping your body groomed and groomed in the right way. And it's seamlessly handling even thicker beards these days to be able to be the perfect tool for a polished, date-ready experience. So get 20% off and free shipping with the code NATTY at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com using code NATTY because your grooming upgrade awaits, ready to charm your Valentine's dates. This is the John Nabors Show on Natty State Sports. We'll be right back, so stay with us.
We not done yet either. So don't be satisfied because we not done. We not done yet either. So don't be satisfied because we not done. We not
miles away, but the call of the Hogs can be heard all the way to San Francisco.
Let's stick my dick in the mashed potatoes. Go Hogs.
Powered by Arkansas, for Arkansas.
Every time you put a mic in my face, I'm going to say Arkansas.
The John Nabors Show is live from the Natty State Sports Studios.
Welcome back into the John Nabors Show here live from Natty State Sports Studios. Appreciate everybody listening in and watching in as we got a lot of things still to get to here in this final hour. And, of course, I'm joined by the guys themselves, Andrew Ellis and Curtis Wilkerson, who are the best in the business at what they do. I still don't know what they do exactly, but they are the best at it. So
Damn good at it.
Yeah, yeah. And DYB umpire, what does that mean, Andrew, by the way? I had a buddy of mine asked in the...
DYB umpire?
Yeah.
It means that I was an umpire for the Dixie Youth Baseball Association. Not only was I an umpire, they gave these out because at the state tournament we had to wear them. And they only pick one umpire from each district to work the state tournament. Unfortunately, I was picked, and it was freaking miserable. It was literally the last thing I did before I moved up to Fayetteville. Like a week before I moved up here, I had to go work this stupid state tournament in the middle of July. It was like 3 games in one day.
That's gross.
On turf. But yeah, I was an umpire back in the day.
So Curtis was a coach, and you were an umpire, and
Yeah.
we're starting to get the entire game. Scotty was an athlete, right? Played basketball. So
Yeah. Scotty was,
all district or he was
Curtis technically was a
and I was a
collegiate
spectator.
athlete.
So we got the entire everybody, taken care of.
And I do want Kingsley to know, by the way, just because we're talking about, the Natty State sports crew throwing pitches, you got a tall lefty right here.
I was going to say, yeah, I think Curtis probably throws the hardest by a small margin.
I have no idea. Dude, I haven't. Yeah,
I know
have no
exactly
clue.
how hard I can throw because I tore my UCL at Dave & Buster's trying to throw it. I hit 83 on the machine.
What are the chances we can get in front of a radar gun in Arlington?
Pretty easy. I mean, dude, we can go to Rogers and go to the Dave & Buster's there. They got a little thing.
Do they? Yeah. we'll have to
How
do that
accurate is it, though? Like,
I'm
is
sure
it,
it's not accurate.
Yeah,
but
I'd say it's probably one of those to make you feel good and so you can put more money into it or more coins or whatever it is. Like
it didn't make me feel good at all, man. My arm was throbbing, dude. I felt a tingle in my fingers, which is never good.
Dude, like, because I played baseball when I was like in 4th grade, but I was like, I don't even think I could. I don't even know. I wouldn't even. You could ask me how fast I could throw. I have zero clue. It could be 40 miles an hour for all I know.
I'm glad you said that, John, because the average person always overestimates like how hard they can throw.
100%.
Like, dude, throwing a ball
100%.
75 miles an hour is freaking hard for
Yeah.
a normal person to do. That's not like practicing baseball or whatever.
That's
It's tough.
That's like when even you see people bringing up. I just use like a Will McIntyre for example. There's like, he only throws 80 something. Like, okay. Like literally go out there and do that. Like it's incredible to see the speed and but I think it was actually when I worked at the Buzz at a competition among other people because some people who shall remain nameless but always overcompensate over there felt like that they could throw a baseball extremely far. When I say extremely far, we're talking about 100 yards. 100 yards, like from no roll, from basically one end of the football field to the other, a baseball. Like that. They didn't. So it is funny how that happened. I feel like baseball's the worst part, like the worst culprit of that. Like, in football, you'll hear, like, nobody's going to go back there, man, I can still, knock the crap out of somebody. Like, nobody's going to say that.
Yeah.
And in basketball, it's like, I could maybe go out there and hit like free throws or whatever, but no one's, because they know the conditioning. But for some reason, baseball is just like, I could go out there and I could hit. I went to the pitching machine and the batting cages. I could still do it. Like,
it's weird because it's like, while it is the least like cardiovascular of the sports, I guess, like you don't have to be in great shape to be good at baseball. It's such a like skill oriented thing where it's like, I saw there's people were talking about the Sports Hall of Fame on Twitter where like the funniest tweets of all time. Y'all remember that guy that was like, I could maybe luck into a home run or I could score 2 points. And he was like detailing all the stuff. He was like, I could luck into a home run in the MLB. I'm like, no, you couldn't.
No.
Like you could, like literally an average person could get unlimited infinity at-bats against any major league, any AA pitcher and would just never.
They would never
They
do
probably
it.
wouldn't put a ball in play, let alone get one over the fence. Like
I couldn't do it off a high school pitcher.
Even if even if you got someone who like hit 7th on their high school teams, like a pretty good, like just an average high school player, I don't think they would have the power to get one out of an MLB ballpark.
Yeah. Well, I remember country music star Justin Moore said that he could go to the Travelers ballpark and hit a home run. I'm like,
no, dude.
you
I couldn't do
can't.
it. I'm just telling you,
can't do it.
I mean, I wasn't that good. I was a PO in high school. They would DH for me. They actually DH for me when I played right field one time.
Oh, man.
But I really couldn't hit. But like, I don't think I've ever hit one over the fence at like a legit, even a high school field. And I'm an above average athlete compared to normal human beings. Like these fat slobs in the comments probably couldn't get it out of the infield. But like, I'm saying like, I can't get one over Fayetteville High School's baseball. There's no way I could.
Oh, again,
That's a lie. I could probably do it maybe once, but it would be tough, man. Like I don't think an average person.
We need to
could
do
it.
this. Like we need to set up something to where, like, not just us, but these people who are like, I could do it. I'm like, all right, here we go.
Yeah.
Test. Like
Curtis,
we'll just get you a pitching.
Were you
machine
all
and try to
district
do
in
it.
high school?
In what?
In basketball.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I thought. First team, second team.
First team.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, we didn't have districts
Basketball?
up here. Like,
I was honorable mention.
Like that.
I wasn't anything. I tore my Achilles tendon when I was 16. and
Well,
it
you
kept
would have
me
been,
out.
yeah, for sure.
Or else I would have been
You know what we need
in
to
the NFL right now.
We need to get down to Bogle and try to have a home run derby action.
Yeah.
They do a thing with softball where they invite the media to come out, but I never go because I'm like, I don't cover the softball team. So it's like, I feel like it'd be tough if I showed up to the media BP session, but didn't cover the team at all.
Like,
It'd be fun.
I think it'd be fun.
think it'd be awesome,
but I'd get humbled. Like I know I'm not going to be able to do anything.
Texas A&M media got invited to. It was their softball field, but their baseball team was playing a softball game there. And they were like letting the media members go out there and like take at bats and
Yeah, dude, I would
could you
love to do that.
imagine
Hey,
that?
listen, we did a flag football game for media. You know, like it was like almost 10 years ago, which is crazy to think about. But like, yeah, we did that.
Yeah.
Why can't we there should be like, how fun would it be if we got Muss involved like off season, but like to do a basketball thing, like a 3-on-3 media deal, or in baseball or softball or whatever, like just get them. We're fun. Media people are fun.
Yeah,
we like
come
to
on.
have fun. You know?
They do all that stuff during the during the summer. The basketball team, like they go out, they'll play kickball.
Yeah.
I'll play kickball.
We just got to get
Be
invited
awesome.
to one of those things.
Yeah,
We just got to sneak our way, or maybe we just.
maybe the guy who got into the Halloween party could get us involved.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. It's,
Did
we'll
that
see.
come
I
up in
could pull some
conversation last
strings.
night, John?
Yeah, well, I think there was other things that are more important matters that got discussed about basketball last night. But no, I do think like we need to set that up. I think we have to be the pioneers. We have to be the ones that push it forward. Because when we did the flag football game, it was dumb. Like it was fun, but it was dumb because there was like no teams. It's just kind of, it ended up being like pretty much the entire old media people against all the SIDs and assistant SIDs, like the college kids.
yeah.
We had no chance. Because, I mean, but I do remember Jason Carroll was our quarterback.
Okay.
Actually,
yeah.
wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
You know, he talked a lot about his game, you know, and how awesome he was, but he did do that. And I did get to Moss, old Jimmy Carter. I don't know if y'all remember Jimmy
I
Carter.
remember
there
Jimmy
you go.
Carter.
Moss,
yeah.
Jimmy Carter. And when I say Moss, he fell down, and I just caught it over him, but still,
Who's
that's
the
as close as
MVP?
I was going to get.
Who's the best player out there?
You know what? It was crazy. Tom Murphy.
I would do.
It's not
Tom,
crazy.
I'm
Tom
dude,
Murphy's
it's not
a
crazy.
freaking athlete, dude.
Like,
I'm just telling you, he's an
me
athlete.
because so I was receiver. Tom was like, we called him the tight end, but like me and Tom tied for the amount of touchdown receptions. I was going to say that I had 3 touchdowns. He had 2 touchdowns and a 2-point conversion reception.
Yeah.
But the dude was out there just getting after. I was like,
He's a
Tom.
grinder, man. He's physical.
We played pickup ball with Tom Murphy, and he's like Dennis Rodman with touch around the
Dude,
rim.
he
Dude,
he
I could see
dislocated
it.
his thumb while we were playing basketball out at Farmington. Pops it back into play. He was like, oh, hold on, guys, I'll be right back.
back in the game, dude.
I was like, dude,
It's
if that
crazy.
happened to me at anything, I would literally just go home. I'd just be like, all right.
And you know what's funny? And I mean this with nothing but love, Tom, because I love Tom. But like, if I didn't know everybody and you just lined up all the
Oh, yeah, I
media
wouldn't have
members,
guessed
I would never have guessed. Be like, oh yeah, that guy for sure.
Yeah.
But
But
no,
he's got the old man strength to him, like he
Low
was
center of gravity too. Like he's
Yeah.
not a short guy, but he's like he gets
Yeah.
low when he needs to.
he's back cutting dudes, like he
he
can get tired.
He's aggressive on the boards.
yeah,
yeah,
it's wild, man.
Again,
And he
I
was
can't-
wearing a long sleeve T-shirt too.
he was wearing that at the flag football game. But it was like a Fisher's shirt, like a
Yeah,
fisherman's
I was
shirt.
the
like,
same
yeah.
shirt. I know exactly what shirt
Was
you're
it
talking
blue?
about. Yeah, it had like different colors. Yeah, I know exactly
So,
the shirt
hey,
you're
listen,
talking about.
it might be a Superman shirt, you know, when he's out there. But
We got to separate. He's like
But
Samson. We got to get him away from his hair, get him away from his shirt.
what was funny is like I don't remember anything else about any other media who was good and who wasn't, other than just Tom being like really great. That's the main
Grinder,
thing I
man.
remember.
Yeah.
And also somebody took it very seriously and got like really annoying about it. And I don't even remember. Anyways, also, okay, I'll say this. I don't know if you remember her. She used to work here. AJ McCord,
Yeah.
who is now up in Portland, I believe, doing a great job, by the way. But she was really good. You could tell she's an athlete, but like, yeah, she was really good too. So, yeah, we need to get that going. I'm sure that
It'd be fun.
Sure that nobody will overcompensate for themselves. Bob just hung out. Bob was just there.
That's
him
what
and,
he- I mean, I
him
think
and
he
Nate.
showed up and picked
Him
up
and
that
Nate
day.
just were like the spectators, and I remember Bielema was upset though because he's like, "Oh, I would have been there to ref. I would have been the referee." I was like, "Well, yeah, well,
Got to be
Been a great
sober to ref,
Saturday.
buddy.
Sure, man.
would have had to come out and hang out, and maybe it's been too warm for you out there."
Need
but-
non-bloodshot eyes to watch this game.
Yeah, you got to do that.
He might have wound up taking a cleat to the face, like a
Yeah, like Yurachek.
Yeah,
Ooh, yeah. I keep forgetting about that.
What
one.
was the name of that running back? That track guy, Oglesby, right?
Yeah,
Josh Oglesby.
Yeah, Josh
that was
Oglesby.
who cleated him right in the face.
Whatever happened to him?
He went to somewhere in Texas. He transferred to like Texas A&M. Somebody like
Sounds
Corpus
Commerce.
Christi. No, it wasn't that. It was
Commerce.
somebody though. But it was one of the Texas schools.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I forget when you brought that name. I was like, I remember he was like a track star. Everyone was excited.
Yeah.
Every year in fall camp, could
There's
Josh
always-
Oglesby contribute? Every year we do that.
It's Emmanuel Crawford now. The
Yeah,
walk-on,
Emmanuel
super fast
Crawford.
walk on. But the dude, like, okay, but his numbers in high school are nuts.
Oh, yeah,
Like,
I'm sure they
he
were.
broke every single record. But
Can't wait
yeah,
to see
he's
it
a little
not
guy.
ever see the field.
That's in fall camp. There's always just random names that get floated out there, and you're like, "What are we doing here?" But I can't wait for this fall.
There was the guy with 3 names, John David White. Was that the one?
John David
John
White,
David
Diesel.
White, yeah.
Come on, Diesel. Yeah,
Sure. Yeah. He's like the white Steve Nash out there and everything too. So
I think his brother.
someone's knocking
played
at our door over here in the back. By
His
the
brother
way.
played baseball at Arkansas.
I don't know who's knocking at our door.
They
but I
knock
just
at that door?
They just knocked at this door.
The one that's open.
I think so.
Yeah, it's open.
Hey, it's open. Come on in. It's okay. How you doing? Good. Oh yeah, Branson. Do you mind handling that over? You can just come on in over there. So yeah, he'll hook you up with it. But yeah, that was cool because we don't get many guests and visitors here at the
I love
office.
this. Yeah.
So it's great. It's great to have it. But
Please come
but
in.
yeah,
Chick,
because
too.
we got a launch party that we're getting ready for. So we got to get this place cleaned up and looking good and feeling good and everything. So welcome everyone up.
Hey, Talking Beer wants to know what if they won the SEC tourney. I'm going to tell you what would happen. Talking Beer,
Tell us.
they would get to go to the NCAA tournament.
Nuh-uh. No
I'm
way.
told that
Straight-
if you win the SEC tournament, you get to go to the NCAA.
Is it like that in baseball too?
I think it is, but I don't think it's ever like a thing though. I was
Yeah.
thinking about that the other day when we were talking about it. I was like, it is an automatic bid, but like you never hear people talk.
So that's what I'm
about
saying. Like I want to be like, man, we got to get on a roll to win the SEC tournament.
I remember
But it's gotta
Louisiana
have
Tech one
something
year.
like that.
Louisiana Tech baseball one year was like gonna get like they were like on the fringe of an at-large bid, but they didn't win the Sun Belt Conference tournament and they didn't get in. And it was like, oh wow.
If basketball wins the SEC tournament, they will get a Greyhound bus ticket straight to Dayton.
And we're gonna
Now,
be
so
there.
if you
We're
win the
gonna be
SEC
there.
tournament, because the field of 68 is really like you can be in the play-in even if you're
Oh yeah.
I guess that could be the 11 seed then, huh? That's what would happen.
Those
Yeah,
bid
have
those
to be.
bid stealers usually wind up in there.
Because there is a 16 versus 16 play-in.
I think
Right.
we've talked about it, but I kind of low key. Again, you never want to just desire to be in that spot, but like this year, it would be the perfect time where I'm like, I would be so excited to go to Dayton.
Oh, me too.
Like I'd be so pumped.
But I do think that's
Yeah.
bullshit, though. I think if you win your conference tournament, you should not have to play in. I think you should be the 16th seed that gets to play against whoever. You should just go ahead and get it. Like, I don't think you should have to beat another.
It does kind of suck.
You know,
like a lot
yeah.
of those teams, it's like the first and only time they'll ever make it. You got to go to Dayton and play another team that's in the same position.
Fun fact about the play-in in Dayton featuring 16 seeds. I had a buddy named Tay when played basketball at University of New Orleans. But he
Privateers.
played at University of New Orleans. They were in the 16-16 play-in game, and he had a teammate during a timeout that got so pissed at him that he choked him like this. And so
Jeez.
there's a video, if anyone wants to go find it, of Christavius Gill, a.k.a. Tay, getting choked during the Dayton play-in game because his team was
Love
struggling
that.
and his teammate got pissed and just choked him in the huddle.
Does Dayton I guess they bid on that, right? Like they want to bid for the play-in games.
I
know you're
guess.
not supposed to call them play-in games. But
Yeah.
at least we got away from that
First
stupid. This
four
is
or
the
whatever.
first round. No, it's not.
I
hated that.
I hate that it's
so
like, oh yeah,
much.
we lost in the second round, and it's
No,
like you
you
didn't win a
didn't.
game.
Yeah.
No, you didn't. Yeah, you can't lose in the second round if you didn't win a game or whatever.
I love
but-
how also like I guess now we just call it the round of 32, right?
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah.
like for a while we just like didn't really know what to say. For
because
first or
everything else had a
second round.
name.
And especially when they started doing the second and third round and all that crap, and it's like, all right.
Yeah,
Just a
I
round.
wouldn't be against if they came up with at least a decent name for it because you have the field of 68, which is fine, and Sweet 16, Elite 8, like Final Four.
Decent podcast network.
Yeah, it's like you'd have to have something, but it'd have to be something clever. I don't know what it would be like. Maybe you have to start with something that's th sound, because it's like got to go on with that theme. The thirsty 32. I don't know.
Have y'all been
Something
to
like that.
Dayton before?
I driven through it. No,
I
that's
have been
about
to
it.
Dayton before. Yeah.
You like it?
It's okay. Yeah, I've
I
been
feel
to
like
worse
every place
places.
in Ohio sucks except
Yeah.
for like Cincinnati.
They
I
got
could be
Skyline
wrong.
Chili in Dayton, you think?
Yeah.
Surely,
I'm sure they do.
Yeah.
Dayton's
I just
fine.
want to go just to like say I went one time. So this year would be perfect if they
I know.
could go ahead and knock it off.
I'm
you
just
know?
saying if they were going to do it right now is the time to
This is
do
the
it.
only year we could get excited about it. But
Yes.
like, there's going to be a year and a few years where they're like, we actually want the team to be good, and then they're going to end up being the 11th seed. And it's like crap.
So because I guess
Like last year's team.
I prefer Dayton over Birmingham.
oh yeah, easily.
100%. 100%.
Easily.
Because if you win, is it on Tuesday? Is
Yeah.
that game, and then you would play on the
Thursday.
Thursday, or do you get kind of like the Friday game?
I
Or
guess
does
it
kinda
depends
mix
on
up
the
a little bit?
bracket.
Yeah, I guess
but-
it does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's Tuesday, Wednesday play-in games in Dayton, right?
And so, yeah, it'd have to
so
be
I guess
Thursday,
you know
Friday.
what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'd
That's
imagine
right,
that
yeah.
it's Thursday, Friday.
Yeah, I'm sure that Arkansas would get a great spot, too, if they won in Dayton, going to Pittsburgh or
That's what would be fun about it is like we
Omaha.
go to Dayton and do whatever.
And then we go to
like,
Omaha.
immediately. Yeah.
Yeah.
go to Steubenville or
Omaha,
wherever it's at.
where John and I became best friends.
That's right. Did we win that day? That trip?
I would say it was the day that it was the first time we hung out.
Yeah. I had a friend with me there that entire trip. I remember me and Branson talked about that.
A friend with you? Oh, a lady friend?
A lady friend.
Yeah.
She because wild story, the Chapel Hill regional.
That's right.
They're super. Yeah. Never met her before in person, but followed me on social media and it's like, hey, I'm gonna come out if you want to meet up. I was like, all right. So I did. And she wanted to keep going. So it was kind of a wild
Pulled up
time.
to Omaha to go with?
Yeah. She's one of those that, whatever her job is, I still don't know. She's told me 8 times. I don't know what it is. But she can do it remotely. So she just travels. I'm like, you know what? That's actually kind of cool. Hey, I want to go to Omaha. And then she saw how
See if she wants to
expensive
come back this
hotel
year.
prices were and Airbnbs and all that. And so she's trying to get out of it. But anyway, nobody wants to hear that. But people want to see this, though, because there was a few things that happened in college basketball, which I cracked up. For those of you who know, Kelvin Sampson's been around a long time. And I saw this video. Houston is up 49-27 on Oklahoma State. 15 minutes to go in the game. Kelvin Sampson comes roaring in like a bat out of hell, losing his mind. He goes running onto the court and is just belligerently screaming at the officials, and he gets ejected. And I'm like, that type of energy is amazing. The fact that his team is up 20 with 15 minutes to go at home. And he looked like, I don't want to call him the streaker, but almost looked like a participant that runs out onto the court randomly.
Dude,
that's what it reminded me of.
His get-back guy is humongous.
Yeah.
Who the hell is that?
That might be, I thought Ronnie Brewer Jr. was the best get-back guy in the country, but this
I want to
dude,
see Ronnie and that guy just throw down, man.
But whatever it was, he did not like the fact that, his guy got, hit in the back, which I can understand. It's pretty frustrating. But, I mean, he comes flying in. And, Kelvin Sampson's an older guy, too. What, he's 70, getting close to
he's
it?
old.
So, I mean, he comes look at it. He comes rolling in. Oh, man.
the guy who made that bucket is Brandon
Little
Garrison.
turtleneck going on?
Well, no, I love his shirt says eracism, as in erase racism.
It makes sense for probably a Black History Month shirt.
Well, I thought the
I like
NFL
that.
already stopped racism, so I don't know if you need to erase it at this point. I think
Yeah.
we've cleared up that issue
Yeah,
already.
we can't. You gotta come up with something new. So
Racism dropped to 0 last year.
That's well done though. There's no way in hell they were going to lose that game to Oklahoma State. He's trying to prove a point.
Also, I didn't realize Houston's Team Jordan.
I don't think I knew that either.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Or at least that's what the shirts that they're wearing. So yeah,
And at least that's warranted. Did you guys see Scott Drew over the weekend for Baylor?
Yes.
He had already gotten a tech, so you get your second one, you get tossed anyway. But he just was he was out of the coach's box around half court or whatever. But he was just on a knee, just watching the game. And then they just
So you
saw
got
him out there and
literally
kicked his
just
ass
being
out.
out of his thing?
Yeah.
You got to get your money's worth when you're doing something like that.
Exactly.
Yeah. But
Yeah, he earned that tech. That was a solid tech.
Yeah,
One,
that
you
was-
can
that was
tell
well done.
these coaches at some point make a decision where it's I know I'm going to get ejected, but since I'm doing it, I might as well say what I got to say.
yeah, might as well get it all out there, let it all be heard, and then
That's a
move
good
on.
time to take up for your guy, though. There's a guard who switched on to a big man. He's trying to fight down there. He's got an elbow in his back.
Yeah, that's a good tech. I like that.
I like that. Take up for your guy. It's good stuff.
Almost Arkansas head coach Kelvin Sampson.
I know it was seemed like to be the guy because he's been to just one Final Four as a coach, I believe.
They went a couple years ago with
I
Houston,
think that was
right?
the time that they went.
Is that it? Just that?
Because he didn't go with Oklahoma, I don't think.
Where else did he coach? Kentucky?
Oklahoma, Indiana.
Indiana is where I'm
Yeah, and Indiana wasn't there long enough to. Although he had a really good team that year when they had Eric Gordon, I think was his name.
Yeah. Lost to Arkansas in the tournament.
Yeah, they got smoked
That's
by
right.
Arkansas.
That's right.
In fact, if I'm not
Steph Welch.
mistaken,
I remember,
they beat him by 30.
I remember a play in that game being so dirty. Steph Welch got fouled on a 3, and the dude did the thing, but he also stuck his foot out and had Steph land on his foot. And I remember as a kid being like, "Screw that guy!
Yep.
Throw him in jail!"
Yep. There's so many players in the history of my watching Razorback basketball that I hated that they never did anything else again. Like when Arkansas played Michigan, Zach Novak, because he's the one that did that hard foul against BJ Young. That guy, I wouldn't even know what he did the rest of the year. But I'm always going to remember that name, and I'm always going to remember how much I hate him. because of what he did to my guy.
Yeah.
So it's kind of the same thing.
I
It's like,
hated
you
Eric
remember that.
Gordon for that, like just for that game, because I remember like it was one of those. I'm like most Arkansas fans. When I was growing up, I used to get so mad when announcers would hype up other players.
Oh, man.
Like they could have been
Tanner
playing
English.
Yeah, they could have been playing Tyler Hansbrough back in the day, and I still would have been like, why are they hyping up this kid?
Well,
You know,
they did play Tyler Hansbrough that next game.
and they did get hammered.
And they got beat by
Right.
30. It was
But
literally
yeah, I guarantee you, I was
110 to
pissed
80.
that they were hyping him up. But Eric Gordon, credit to him though, because he's had a really good career for someone who is skinny fat. One of the best skinny fat athletes of all time.
Well, he's Nick Honor's motivation.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Is he real? Is that what he said?
I
Nick Honors and him are built similarly.
I was hoping that I was actually the case. I'm like, now it all makes sense.
would have been awesome.
Eric Gordon
No,
had
it
a
makes
great
sense.
career with the Rockets, man. But he just one of the fattest athletes that's not fat but looks fat.
He's with
Phoenix still.
yeah. Did you see when like they got Bradley Beal there to go along with the other two guys?
Everybody, yeah.
And then they literally got Eric Gordon and they did the Big Four picture.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
That's tough, man. That's tough.
Well, especially at this point, like Eric Gordon, at one point you could have like maybe slid him in there as like a fringe all-star, but not in the year of our Lord 24.
Yeah, put him
I
with,
honestly
put
forgot
him
he was
with
still
Booker,
playing.
Beal, and Durant.
Yeah, but I mean, what year was that they played Indiana in the tournament?
It was 08.
08?
Yeah.
So yeah, he's had a hell of a run.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
wow.
a lot longer than. I mean, anybody would take that right now. At least most kids to be able to play because he got drafted that next year. So I guess the
It's
09
been like
was his
15
first
years legit in the league, man.
Yeah,
A lot
and
for
getting
a
playing time.
round-faced sufferer.
Yeah.
But shout out to Kelvin Sampson though.
Shout out to Kelvin
Shout out
Sampson.
to Kelvin
Kelvin
Sampson.
Sampson's done a
I
hell
like
of a
him.
job, man. Like,
And
he's just done a
they
great
needed
job.
that too because it's crazy. Like a couple weeks ago, people were talking about how they might have the best defense ever, like in college basketball.
Yeah.
They held UCF to 16% shooting for an entire game, but then Kansas just lit their asses up over the weekend. Like, I don't think
Credit to us for betting on that one.
Yeah. But
I mean, he's still like it's like him. Not, well, I guess I know I'm not going to make that comparison, but he's just one of those coaches that's like they're always going to be good, but will they ever win a natty? Like, will they ever get to that level good? But it just
College
shows you how
basketball is
tough it
a
is,
hard
man.
sport to win in the tournament. Like it's just a really tough sport to make your money
Yeah,
on a small sample size.
People got to understand that too. Let's see. Actually, at this point in time, I'll tell you what. We got some other clips we're going to play here in just a second because going to revisit some things from back in the past, but also have some fun with some of the most viral and stupidest videos that you could possibly imagine here on the show. But first, we're going to tell you about our friends over at Alumni Hall. Now, if you go to nattystatesports.com/alumni hall, you'll be able to see all the great things that they have to offer when it comes to Razorback apparel. And they have everything. And especially with baseball season, we've been really hammering that point home. That baseball season is happening next week. Like a week from this Friday, there's going to be legit Razorback baseball. And the weather hopefully holds up and looks really nice. But maybe some of you are going to be making the trip down to Arlington where the weather's going to be really nice. And you won't have to worry about it because you're in a dome. But you got to get the newest and greatest and coolest apparel when it comes to Razorback baseball. And they have it. They got all the baseball hats in stock. They got the new, brand spanking new Razorback baseball jerseys in stock. You're going to have to check them out today because they're going to go fast. So go to nattystatesports.com/alumni hall and get your purchases on. Get them shipped directly to your door. Even if you're outside the city of Fayetteville, you can, of course, visit their store in Fayetteville at 3417 North College Avenue. But if you're online at nattystatesports.com/alumni hall, you'll be able to see all the great apparel that they have and get it here in time for Razorbacks baseball season coming up next week. So get it done with Alumni Hall. We'll take another break. When we come back, we'll have more of the John Nabors Show live from Natty State Sports Studios. So stay with us.
We not done yet either. So don't be satisfied because we not done. We not done yet either. So don't be satisfied because we not done. We
33 miles away. But the call of the Hogs can be heard all the way to San Francisco.
I'm gonna stick my dick in the mashed potatoes. Go Hogs.
Powered by Arkansas, for Arkansas.
Every time you put a mic in my face, I'm going to say Arkansas.
The John Nabors Show is live from the Natty State Sports Studios.
Welcome back into the John Nabors Show, live from Natty State Sports Studios. Appreciate everybody listening in and watching in here on this beautiful day in the great state of Arkansas, as we have a lot more to get to here today and diving into some of the fun stuff that's happening as well. But, of course, we got the guys hanging out here as well. And I'll say this, there is a few other clips that you want to watch us, but because we're going to move through them so quickly, let's go ahead and get into them. But should I see Brock Purdy?
Oh, yeah. We saw this one. This is a good one.
So Brock Purdy, the quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers, getting ready for the Super Bowl that's happening this Sunday. I don't know if you guys heard. It was on all the papers this morning that there is the Super Bowl happening this weekend. And, Brock Purdy is getting down for his media. And we know that media can be a little bit wild and crazy, especially Super Bowl weekend. You got kids running around asking questions, making Tom Brady cry. You got, just a lot of chaos and whatever. Well, Brock Purdy was asked a question that was pretty off the wall, but I don't think I think this might be one for the record books as far as questions that he got asked, and might be one of the ones that not many people have been asked about. So take a listen. Actually, I need to go ahead and get the clip to do it this way. How about this? Let's try this.
Yeah.
We'll let it replay here in a second because I know there's a.
Lee Harvey Oswald circling around the internet right now. People think you two look alike. Did you ever hear that before?
I haven't. That's my first time hearing it. Yeah.
What do you think about that comparison? Physical comparison.
I don't know.
So
the concern in his eyes as he's trying to form a sentence, he's like,
The fact that this man was asked about him looking like Lee Harvey Oswald. Do you guys, first off, do you guys see it? Do you guys see it
I've seen
at
the
all?
pictures, and I didn't even see it either. And I think that's what's funny about this reporter asking him is like, it's just an internet joke about how people make fun of how we don't like Brock Purdy. Like that's the joke.
That's what it is, yeah.
Don't go to the freaking press conference and ask him about it. Like, it's not cool anymore. It's no longer funny. And like, I honestly feel bad because he's so confused by the question.
You can't do that unless there's really a striking resemblance. And yeah, I mean, it's just
this is just one of those situations where it's like we took because I was seeing all the Lee Harvey Oswald tweets yesterday where everybody's like, oh, Brock Purdy, Lee Harvey Oswald. Like, okay, it's not funny when you take it and actually ask him about it. Like, it's just not funny anymore.
It ruins the humor or at least the entertainment value of it. But I'm just like,
as much entertainment value as there can be for a former assassinator of the president looking like the 49ers quarterback a little bit.
Yeah, might be some relation there. Well, it's like I think back to, when they asked at SEC Media Days to Jim McElwain if he was the guy that was on the viral photo of being naked humping a shark. Okay, they asked him that. Now, I wouldn't have asked that, but somebody did, and then it was his reaction that really was sad because he was like took it almost so seriously. He's like, "We got your family," hearing that, and I'm like, "What did your family just be like, Dad? You humped a shark while naked, Dad?
Had to look my daughter in the eye.
Yeah, I got to look my daughter in the eye.
I hope
like,
at some point in my life that my son or daughter is able to ask me that.
Yeah, because I think that'd be. I think the right response for what Jim McElwain should have done has been like, "Yeah, it was me." Or do that, or go the opposite and be like, no, man, I got a much better looking rear end than that guy.
Yeah.
So, something like that, but no, like to take it so seriously. But Brock Purdy handled it right. But I'm like, yeah, and it's the whole thing where it's like, you're going to ask that question. And here's what my whole point of bringing that up with Jim McElwain. That actually looked like Jim McElwain.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He does not look like Lee Harvey Oswald. Like, it's not when I'm sitting there just be like, oh, my goodness.
Well, what was he supposed to say? Like, Jim,
what do you think?
What is the reaction you were looking for?
Even if he knew about it and thought he looked like him, what's he supposed to be like? Yeah, love it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what he was supposed to say.
Yeah, I mean, in fact, I get that. I've gotten that a lot, actually. Yeah. But don't worry, I didn't assassinate Kennedy.
Guy says, what do you think about it? He's like, what do you mean? What do I think about it?
No, being compared, it's like, you kind of look like Hitler. What do you think? It's like, I don't know,
all right, it's not going to be a profound answer, even if you do agree. It's just,
I don't know what the expectation was for that, but still, it was still a weird.
Very odd.
Yeah, very weird. Also, I wanted to play this because I don't know. I wanted to take this more to a different realm, but Stanford posted a basketball. Not that it matters. They posted the thing that happened 20 years ago. We're in a game against Arizona, and I want to play the clip. I'm sure I won't get in trouble for it at all. So, this happened 20 years ago. Arizona and Stanford. Stanford was number 2. Josh Childress on the team. Look at this play. So Arizona's going in. It gets a steal. Lonick just goes from half court and then just decks it. And then you have a mob scene and everything, and it was beautiful. Now, you see this, and you're probably like, what the crap does this have to do with anything? Well, the reason I brought this up is because, one, it's 20 years ago, and it's sad. But the thing is this was one of those games that I remember watching live. Nothing to do with Arkansas. And I remember it stuck with me for so long, and I loved it so much. And the highlights, like Tiger Woods was in the building, like sitting front row with his ex-wife now. But they were sitting there, and it was just like one of those cool games that, again, you had Dick Vitale on the call alongside Britt Musburger. They kept yelling over each other. But the question I was going to ask is, like, do you guys remember like kind of like a first sports moment or a sports moment stuck out to you that you watched live that had nothing to do with your favorite team? Like and it could be something random because this is a regular season game. Like, this meant nothing. But has there ever been something that stood out to you similar to like this did for me where I don't know why, but I was watching it live and it was awesome and it was great?
You got one first, or you want me to take this one? One of the first ones I can remember as a kid, like a non-Arkansas sporting event captivating me, was 2005, I believe it was, when Michigan and Ohio State were number 1, number 2, and they played in football. I think I was 8 at that point. That's how the math would work. I remember
which year was that?
It was in football. It was 2005.
Okay.
So it's like, I'm trying to think of who was playing for the teams.
I do remember.
I guess Chad Henne might have been at Michigan.
He was.
Troy Smith was the quarterback at Ohio State.
That was the 06 year. That's right. Because that's Ohio State won, and then they went to the title game against Florida. So, yeah.
Well, I remember being captivated by that and being like, oh, man, number 1 versus number 2. Like, I didn't realize, like, that was the first time I could remember it happening in my lifetime. And I was like, I got to watch this one. Yeah. I don't know, Curtis, what's a moment that, like, a sports moment that you just remember? There's a lot that I remember exactly where I was.
Oh, yeah.
I remember the Ray Allen shot against the Spurs in the finals. Yeah. I remember me and my dad going to get Frosties after that. We were so excited.
Like
we
Dairy Queen?
Oh, yeah. No, Wendy's, yes.
Okay. Oh, well, that's right. They do Blizzards. Sorry, I got it mixed up. Yes,
but
Frosties.
I just remember, like, we were, like, screaming, like, holy cow, like, whenever it happened. But then we were so excited afterwards. We were like, let's go get some Frosties. So we went and got some Frosties.
Got some Frosties.
I remember the Derek Fisher shot, the buzzer beater, like the .3.
Yes.
Like that was one of the most ridiculous things I've ever seen.
I think it was in 8th grade when that happened.
Yeah.
I guess me and you were the same age. It was probably around the same time.
Right.
But yeah,
and that was unreal.
We were talking about it in front of the Woodland Junior High.
Yeah.
Hanging out with all before we got to go into the school building because they haven't unlocked the doors yet. And we're like, oh man, did you see that last night? So
I mean, the moment that gives me the most chills thinking back, and this was like recently, and I was a grown ass man, but it made the hair on the back of my neck stand up, was just the Chris Jenkins Villanova buzzer beater to beat North Carolina, like to win the national championship. Like everybody, how many times did you take that shot, in the backyard as a kid? And so that one, I mean, that was freaking
because it got followed up by, or before that was one of the craziest, stupidest threes that got hit.
Yeah,
where I forgot which player from North Carolina did the double pump and like kind of threw it up as the shot clock was going under. Yeah, and also shout out to the guy that handled the confetti, because there was no hesitation on his end because the game was tied, so it was gonna go to overtime. But it was like as soon as he hit that shot, and no reviews, boom, just hit it, and it just popped and going crazy. Because could you have imagined if they went back to review it and he didn't get the shot off and had to go to overtime and
sweep it all up?
The cleaning up that they'd have to do and all of that. But yeah, that was a great game too. And it's like that. And then same thing with like if we're talking about the NCAA tournament or whatever, Ali Farouk Manesh going up against Kansas, and like just random times like that, which. That was not that I was rooting for against Kansas or anything, but just because Northern Iowa was such a random team, and
Gordon Hayward almost hitting that game winner in the title against Duke.
Yes.
That half-court shot. I remember that game being I was cheering so hard for Butler, even though
man.
I like Duke, but that was a tough one. Kobe's 81-point game, I didn't watch live, but I remember watching PTI the next day, pardon the interruption, and watching them talk about it, and I was like, 81. I was 9 years old. I was like, 81. That's crazy.
Yeah.
But I vividly remember hearing about that and being like, holy cow, someone scored 81 points.
Yeah, and needed every bit of them.
Also, I have to, since resident UFC fan here, I got to point out, Conor McGregor knocking out Jose Aldo was one of those moments where, like, I wasn't into fighting at that point in time. Everyone was talking about that when it happened.
Yeah.
Like, it was one of those moments that broke the internet where it was like, oh, crap, that loudmouth Irish knocked the dude out in 12 seconds.
Did
like,
that.
First, I don't know if you remember it, John, but it was like literally.
I remember that.
Like 10 seconds, first shot he threw KOs him cold.
Dude.
Like, it was such a big. I mean, it made Conor McGregor who he is now, like the biggest, combat sports athlete in the world. Like, that was one of those moments where it was like, him just going in there and being like, I'm going to walk. This is going to be so easy. I'm going to hit him once and he's going to go to sleep. And then he did it. And it was like, holy cow.
I remember I went on I guess you could call it a vacation, but with my dad, like we used to go and tour like baseball stadiums. And so we went we saw a Cardinals game in St. Louis, but then we went to Springfield. We watched, minor league team, but then we went to Kansas City for it was the Royals and the Brewers or whatever. But like we went to the game and that was cool. And it was like kids run around the bases day. So I got to do that. But then we went back to the hotel, and we were at the hotel bar. But we were just sitting there, and it was when Tyson bit off Holyfield's ear. And I'll never forget that. As a child, I was like, what just happened? It's crazy.
Because also as a kid, because I remember that too, but as a kid, I felt like, oh, that must be a common thing. Because it's just like you're still learning new things.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I remember it's like,
okay.
oh, I guess, if some guy his ear bit off, it must have, what's happened before. Yeah, because I didn't watch boxing very much, but
hearing Mike Tyson talk about that is so funny because he doesn't have an explanation or like he was just like in the heat of the moment. I just bit his ear. I don't know.
And at least they're self-aware now, and they're very like almost like laugh about it these days. Yeah, that was a good one. And I remember, going back to your point about something that like the sporting event. Not that it was sporting event, but I do remember OJ getting chased in the Bronco. I do. That was like my first major like memory of that, but. When you're talking about a moment in sports that literally everyone was talking about, and I still to this day, and I know it's tough with like social media that before it was there to really know, but to me, the deal that has still where every single person I know, even people I know that didn't even care about sports we're talking about, was when Tiger Woods won the Masters in 2018.
Oh yeah,
I bet on that to happen.
Dude,
that was my favorite gambling win of all time.
I have never cried more after a sporting event because I was rooting so hard for him. And just the buildup. Everybody on social media was talking about, tweeting about it. Like people didn't even tweet. Like never tweeted. They were tweeting about it. And
the crowd walking behind them too.
That was incredible.
Yeah. And shout out to the one of the greatest of all time when it comes to broadcasting, Jim Nantz. Because it's like you think about the pressure that you're always going to have on you in those types of moments, and like for him to like just nail it. Just many doubted we'd ever see it, and here it is. A return to glory, and then they shut up and let the crowd take it all. Man,
I'll tell you another one that really sticks out. The kick six, Alabama, Auburn, 2013.
Oh, yeah.
So the other day, it was like a year ago, I was at my buddy's house, and that game was on a rerun. And his wife was very unaware of just anything. And that fourth quarter was happening. And so we made her watch it just because we were like, we just want to see what a normal person's reaction is to this. And it was exactly like you'd expect. Where you're like, oh, can that happen? Is that what?
Yeah.
Is there a flag? Like what? It's like you're kind of making sense of it. Nowadays, like everyone just kind of knows. But that stuff really, I mean, it's happened before and it'll happen again. But it's like in that moment, your brain just doesn't even really process it because it never happens. Someone runs back, especially with 1 second left.
Yeah,
against Alabama, like, it was just it was perfect.
Home and and just what the magnitude of what it meant because they won the West and they went on to win the SEC, which got them in the national champ. I mean, just the impact that it had, but. Vern was great on it, on the call and everything, but still, anytime you hear there goes Davis.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, Rod Bramblett. But, anytime you hear that, too, it's just like, it's just a perfect call. And that's where it's like, I've been in radio, and I did play-by-play, and never to the magnitude of that, but that was just something I always felt like would be really difficult and really, almost so much pressure on you is in those moments that are going to be replayed and time again. You got to nail the call, man. You got to hit it. Because if you don't, people are going to be like, wow, this guy really blew it. Because it's not the same magnitude. But I remember the CBS broadcast of the Hunter Henry heave. That call sucked.
Because they didn't know what was
They
going
had no
on.
clue what was
they had
happening.
no idea
They
what was
thought the
going
game
on.
was over.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah, and I remember, I think it was Carter Blackburn. He was on the call, and I remember he came on my radio show that Monday, and he even admitted I messed it up. He's like, because I just you didn't really understand what was going on. Thought the game was over, and
but that's on him because it wasn't that. I mean, it was a crazy play, but it wasn't that like a guy throwing the ball back. Like you got to know that's a fumble.
Yeah, but
like,
it was
I'm
also,
sorry. I know. I understand.
No, I agree, and I think.
It's a tough
but
one.
then I start thinking then you saw because Ole Miss the team ran on the field it's just there was a lot of stuff going on. But yeah, that's like something to where, man, you got to nail those calls, man. They're going to be living out in infamy.
Shout out to Alex Collins, by the way, who also didn't understand what was going on because he threw the ball back even though he had a first down. He almost cost
Dominic Reed was the only one on that play because he's the one that recovered Alex Collins' fumble. Like he was the only one that knew that it was all good. So, man, those were the things that just stand out and where you were, how viral it was, and everything. So it's just funny to look back upon those moments and where you were at the time and what you thought at the time, and now reflecting on it, stuff that, again, just like it's frozen in time. Like, 'cause that Tiger Woods thing when he won the Masters, which he won 15 majors, but that one's the one that's going to stand out, I think, for most people. That or his shot on Augusta. I forget. I think it was hole 13 or all that. Vern Lundquist. Oh my goodness. And then in your life, have you ever seen something like that?
We can also, at this point, I feel like we can confirm that that's the last Tiger major.
Yeah.
I think it's safe to say.
It's sad, though. I was really hoping he'd get to. I was hoping that maybe that one at the Masters in 18 or whatever really opened it up to where he could win more. Yeah. But then he got in that car wreck, which was wild.
That was crazy.
I think that's probably the nail in the coffin, honestly.
Yeah, because that was during COVID. But I remember it was the same year. Not trying to compare, but it's I remember that was the year, of course, Kobe Bryant passed away, and I remember and nobody knew the extent of it. I just remember it was on ESPN. You're like, dude.
That's another one. I know exactly where I was at when Kobe died.
Oh yeah, I think that is a shock. That was such a shocking, and to me at least in my sports fandom in life, that was to me the most shocking thing that's ever happened.
Well, that you were kind of calling BS in the beginning because it started with TMZ.
Yeah.
And you're like, well.
Yeah, and then you start hearing I remember and this is where it really shows that sometimes the big J journalism out there and reporting about being first was really because I don't know if y'all remember that reporter that was saying that now his name escaped me, but it was one of his former teammates on the Lakers was on the helicopter and died with him. Who was on that Lakers team?
Smush Parker.
No.
Robert Ory.
No. If you say his name, I can see his face. Because he was like...
Wait, another Laker died?
No, he didn't.
Oh.
But that's what they were reporting.
Oh.
That's what I'm saying. But yeah, I got...
Who was on crack?
I got to remember. Yeah. I got to remember who it was. But it was one of the early Kobe teams as well. Like with Shaq and all them. But whoever it was... Gosh, it's going to drive me crazy. Either
Rick
way,
Fox.
Yes.
Oh, really? Was it really Rick Fox?
Yes.
Rick Fox. Thank you. Yeah, she reported that Rick Fox was on the helicopter and died. So Rick Fox had to go on Twitter and be like, I was not on the helicopter. Anyways, but it was chaos.
That's nuts.
It was chaos that time. And it was so sad and still sad to this day just to think
Rick Fox was in One Tree Hill too, wasn't he?
This was what?
Rick Fox had a stint in One Tree Hill.
Yeah.
Did he really?
He was one of the people that paid Nathan Scott illegally.
Did you ever
pre-NIL?
Did you ever see the movie? It's a really dumb movie, Eddie, with Whoopi Goldberg.
I don't know if I have.
It was pretty stupid, but as a kid, it was a movie I watched as a kid. She somehow took over as the Knicks head coach. She was a fan. I don't know. Anyways, Rick Fox played in that, as well as John Sally. He was on
John
the team.
Sally.
And Mark Jackson was on
Oh.
it, which is so ironic because at the time of filming, or I think it was at the time of filming maybe, he was on the Pacers, but they put him on the Knicks. It was something weird.
Shout out to Mark Jackson for the craziest call live and in television ever. Him saying about LeBron's wife, and I quote, "I'd hit it out the park, no question." He said it during the NBA Finals.
I remember
and
that
LeBron
now.
was scoring a three, and they were like, "That'll give James 48 points or whatever." And he's like, "And Savannah, oh, no question, I'd hit it out the park." Bro, what?
Between that
craziest call
and
ever.
between that and the Brent Musburger, Catherine Webb deal with AJ McCarron. Ooh. Oh my goodness, look at that.
That was the Manti Te'o National Championship.
Yes, it was. There's a lot going on.
Athlete girlfriends were a popular, with all due respect, though. Yeah,
Did you guys hear it was the women's, was Iowa basketball involved in this? The dude who screwed up the call in the middle of the game, this is the other day. And he was like, oh, she got her shit blocked
Oh, that was
pardon
Gus
me,
Johnson.
her shot.
That was
Yeah.
Gus Johnson on that call. Yeah.
I was just about to ask what y'all's opinion was of Gus.
I love Gus Johnson.
Love Gus?
I think he's gotten a little almost over the top character. But like when he was in his prime, like when he was still, I just think now he's become fueled by the.
I'm glad
name,
you.
so,
Okay,
yeah.
I love Gus too, and like he's an OG, he's a legend. But he is absolutely, and he's on the Fox Noon kickoff, so he's calling Colorado versus TCU at 11:30, and it'll be like a 13-yard gain, and he's like, breaks free, yeah. And I'm like,
He was
Gus.
best when he was doing college basketball NCAA tournament
Yes,
games.
correct.
Yeah,
Very
like
correct opinion.
there's the screaming thing and
Well, he got so much love. And it's another thing, it's like you get so much love for doing certain things where it's like, all right, now this is all I'm going to do forever.
Yeah.
That's how we have Bob Holt existing in his essence.
well, and I think it's called when it was Vermont beat Syracuse in the NCAA tournament, and it was a guy, and I think it was like his name was TJ Sorrentine. I think was for
I
Vermont.
vaguely know, yeah.
But yeah, he just like hits a three that was nearly half court to like ice the game, and he's just like Sorrentine hit that one from the parking lot. Yeah. And then he had the call of the Rise and Fires, count it.
Yeah.
It's like just like
anybody who
think of any
pulls a good
word.
city name out on a three, like, oh, he hit that one from Fort Smith, like that. Those kind of things always play to me. Like no matter where you're at, I'm like, oh, that is a nearby city.
He said that who was the running back? Was it Chris Johnson, the running back for the Titans? That was
2,000 yards.
Yeah, and he, I remember Gus Johnson when he went on a breakaway. He's like, he's got getting away from the cop speed.
Yeah.
It's like, ooh. All right, that was one way.
Might have given that one a trial run before you put it out there.
Yeah,
but-
I mean, sometimes it just comes to you a little too
You gotta
naturally.
get your shots up, man.
Yeah, can't be doing that. But yeah, there was a lot of great calls for Gus Johnson though. I always liked him. College basketball was his thing.
Oh yeah,
he was also on the call for the Arkansas-Kansas State Cotton Bowl when
Was he
Joe
really?
Adams, yeah.
Oh, the 2011, yeah, for Fox.
Or 2012.
Yes,
January 1,
the
whatever
last
it was.
Bobby
yeah.
Petrino head coached game at Arkansas.
And that was a fun game. I remember I was very satisfied.
Me and my
the end
dad
of it.
rode around our neighborhood calling the Hogs after that. Fun fact.
I would too. Number 5
His
in the
best
country.
friend at the time, Crazy Mark. God rest his soul.
Well, I will say I was really pissed about that, though, because that was the stupid BCS rule where you couldn't have more than 2 teams from one conference in the BCS bowl games. So since LSU and Bama were playing in the national championship, Arkansas and Kansas State got the Cotton Bowl, and I was so mad because I'm like, that's the stupidest rule I've ever heard.
The third best team in the country didn't play in a BCS
right,
game.
yeah. And it was literally any other year and any other time, Arkansas was like going to the Sugar Bowl again. And instead, you know who played in the Sugar Bowl that year? The 13th ranked Virginia Tech Hokies and the 24th ranked Michigan Wolverines with Denard Robinson. And the Cotton Bowl was number 6 Arkansas Razorbacks versus number 8 Kansas State.
Yeah, against
Colin
Colin
Klein.
Klein. The
Colin
big
Klein.
Frankenstein, man. That kid was
He's
hideous.
the OC now at A&M.
Yeah. He was listed. Yeah, he's an OC somewhere.
Is that right?
Yeah, he
I
was
saw
the
him
OC
on
at
a
Kansas
list the other
State,
day.
and
Yeah.
he left his. I'm pretty sure he went to A&M because they paid him. But it's like, man, to
I'll
get
be
you to
damned.
go to away from your alma mater. that must
Somebody
have
else
been-
did that recently.
Money talks.
Where they like left their alma mater for no reason. It was like a head coach though, but I can't remember who it is.
No.
Let's move on.
Well,
Well, Chris Mack did it.
That's what I'm thinking of.
But
No, that's what I'm thinking of.
He was
he-
at,
yeah,
he was
Chris
at
Mack.
Xavier, and he
Yeah.
just took him to the freaking Final Four. You took your alma mater to the Final
right.
Four, and Louisville comes calling. I know it's a hell of a job, and it still was at the time, but it was like right after the Patino stuff, and he's like, "Yeah, I got to go, man."
That
Money
is, in
talks.
hindsight, dude, that is baffling.
Yeah.
Especially because
Look at
Xavier
him
is
now.
not like some mid. I mean, I guess technically they were a mid-major at one
program.
point, but it's like, yeah, see, it's not like a Louisville's a historically better, I guess, but it's like not a big enough jump up to warrant. I wouldn't think.
No, like Xavier.
it's
It's like
bad.
those programs like Xavier, Marquette. Like those programs where they're really solid, but they may not be in the major conference or anything. Like, yeah,
Chris
pretty
Mack
crazy.
made that move, and now he's on the field of 68.
Didn't Buzz go from Marquette to Virginia Tech?
He did.
Yeah,
Why'd he do that? I mean, I guess it worked
Had to
out
be
fine.
money, I assume.
I guess so.
Marquette doesn't have enough money, I guess. D Wade couldn't foot the bill. Jimmy Butler, no. Jay Crowder?
Because people are probably like, why do you go Virginia Tech to Texas A&M?
That one at least. Oh, no, A&M definitely has more money.
Yeah, because they paid a lot.
But yeah,
for Buzz.
that move even is like that makes a little bit more sense because Virginia Tech is like such a. I feel like they're a bottom tier ACC basketball program, right?
Yeah.
And A&M's not a high tier SEC, but I feel like I'd rather be at A&M than Virginia
I say
Tech.
if you got both of them and both of them are kind of in the same right, it's like, all right, well, who's paying more?
Hey,
all right, well,
yeah.
I'll
he
go
goes,
here.
He goes from Marquette.
Like
to,
Marquette's the best job out of those 3 jobs I just listed.
Yeah.
He goes from Marquette to Virginia Tech to Texas A&M, and Shaka Smart went from Virginia Commonwealth to Texas to Marquette. It's kind of weird how it.
And Shaka Smart's having a lot more success. Than
Shaka Smart
Buzz
now
Williams is.
has
well
hair
there.
again out of nowhere.
He should have kept the ball.
Y'all remember when Shaka Smart was on that show with Chris Carter, FS1? First things first. Big
No.
LeBron guy.
Big brown guy.
I don't
Nick
remember
Wright.
him being on that, though.
It wasn't. It was Nick Wright. Who
I was
looks
about
like
to
him.
say, yeah. See, I always thought
Could
he
not
would-
look more like Shaka Smart, though.
He does. Well, it makes sure him and then like throw in a James Franklin in there, too. Like, I think they're all kind of like
James
cut from the
Franklin
same
looks
cloth.
just like the Key and Peele guy.
Yes.
He
yes.
looks like if
does.
the Key and Peele guy put on some weight.
They all
Or
dress
Pitbull.
alike too, which is what bothers me about Shaka Smart is that he coaches now with the long sleeve Under Armour dry fit, and he wears a polo shirt over it.
Oh, dude, you know the
It's
worst
a
dressed
weird look.
coach in all of college sports, PJ Fleck. That
Dude,
MFer
yeah,
wears
don't
like
start
a
on that crap.
hoodie with like dress pants. It's
You're
so
trying
He thinks
too
he's Jim
hard,
Tressel
man.
or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
it's
that's
like-
what he'll wear, like a button-down shirt with a tie and then like an athletic jacket
Yeah.
with dress pants. And I'm like, this is just.
You're,
Throw him in
it's,
jail.
it's like, yeah, that's when you're trying too hard, man. Like, he's like, leave it alone.
You remember he was the row the boat guy at Western Michigan?
Yes. when didn't he have an oar? Like, didn't he like?
Oh,
that
yeah.
their whole thing was
So
like,
it was
yeah.
a big deal.
He's still there, and they like have not been great.
No, yeah, it's like he's just turned out to be an all right.
I remember Rob Smith, the defensive coordinator of Arkansas.
ROBB?
Yeah, left Arkansas to go be the DC of Minnesota under PJ Fleck. Or no, he left to go. At first, was it that? I remember he ended up there.
Well, Rob
then I
Smith,
felt like
was he on a fired Arkansas staff? Maybe
No,
20
he was on. Well, no, he was on the year that when Bielema, they promoted Paul Rhodes to DC his final year. Rob Smith was in 2016, and then
Great move by Rob Smith to get out of there before.
Local star quarterbacks are leaving the state of Arkansas to go to Minnesota to play for.
Local star quarterbacks with prominent last names, even.
do you remember the basketball player that was a 4-star from Arkansas that went to go play for Richard Pitino at Minnesota? Power forward, I believe he was out of El Dorado.
No.
What's that dude's name? Hold
Yeah,
on.
you know what I'm talking about, Curtis. It's been a
Went
dude.
to Minnesota to play basketball?
Yes, went into committed to Richard Pitino to go up there, and he was
Which
a-
is right around
He was
Arkansas
like
played-
he was like a 6'9", 220-pound 4-star power forward, and I don't even know if Arkansas even recruited him. It was Mike Anderson era, but he. That was another thing I thought. I was like, those are the only two. My point was, those are like the only two players I know that like left
Yeah.
Arkansas to go to Minnesota and play up
That's
there.
the
so.
list. Rob Smith and that unnamed power forward.
Yeah,
What was his name?
I don't know.
You don't remember?
I have no clue.
Oh.
That's what I was
What
hoping you would.
year was
man.
he at Minnesota? I can figure it out. I'll
I mean, whenever Richard Pitino was there, yeah, that was man because that was
Yeah.
it was I think it was 2017 because I think it was after Daniel Gafford was in Arkansas. Again, he may not have been from El Dorado, but it was something like that. But anyways, yeah, you do some research on that, Andrew.
We'll figure out.
We'll move to the
Y'all move on.
yeah,
I'll
we'll
figure
move to
it
the
out.
other stuff too. Did you guys see the $2.5 million Super Bowl suite by
No.
chance?
No, I
Yeah,
don't think so.
So it's a heck of a deal.
Seems that way.
Yeah. So the luxury suite comes with a $2.5 million price tag, stocked with the finest grub. Some lucky media members, not us, got an inside look at the expensive box that'll house 20 wealthy football fans when the 49ers, blah, blah, blah. The spread consists of some bomb-looking items with a surf and turf buffet, Wagyu beef, lobster, carne asada fries, seafood stuffed potatoes, bacon-wrapped hot dogs, cheesecake, and your classic souvenir popcorn.
Jeez.
And it's $2.5 million. Now, I'm going to try to see if I can get
Bargain.
the video to play here. But, yeah, here's just a little look at it. So, yeah, this is, you get popcorn, so that's nice. You get chairs, so that's good.
Always good to have a place to sit.
Yeah, those are some of the foods. And you get little footballs on there. I'm just looking, but what cracks me up is I'm looking at it, and I'm like, looks like a suite to me. But I guess if at the Super Bowl, it's going to be $2.5 million. Like, it's just what's going to happen.
Okay, is that like per person or 2.5 million
I think it's
divided
just
by
for
20?
the suite. Yeah,
Yeah,
for the
I
whole
mean-
suite.
You know,
Yeah.
if I had it,
You think everyone's like, oh, I wonder if Taylor Swift will be in there. It's like, probably not. Probably not. But anyways, that was just a really nice suite that's there. Also, for you baseball people out there, I know Andrew's going to be really
Andrew's
pumped and
talking about this,
excited
yeah.
about this. Netflix is teaming up with Major League Baseball to have 2 new projects about the Boston Red Sox. For the first time, Netflix will follow an MLB team over the course of a season. Unprecedented access to Red Sox players, coaches, and executives, blah, blah, blah. It's basically going to be Hard Knocks, but for Major League Baseball. But my thing is I'm like, the Red Sox, though? That's going to be your first one you want to do?
Yeah, I don't know why. I mean, because the Red Sox are in like straight up rebuild mode.
They're not very good.
The only thing I can think of is like Fenway's cool. Like, I guess they were just like, let's go to a cool place to do it the first year. I don't know. But yeah, Netflix, they're trying to get into the sports game a little bit. They're now with the WWE. I don't know what that's going to look like or how it's going to go, but they're also in the mix for UFC. They might be the new because ESPN's deal with UFC's up soon. Could be interesting. You could decide between watching 13 going on 30 or watching Monday Night Raw. Those are your options now on Netflix. Or you can watch Hard Knocks, apparently. Baseball Hard Knocks.
Because aren't they getting into like video games too? Netflix, I'm pretty sure that they were trying to or something. I don't know how that's
It's so hard to keep up with like who's signed with who. You know, like back in the day, it was like, Warner Brothers and all these people, they were with HBO and like everyone else was with Netflix. And it was just kind of that way.
Yeah.
We were talking about the new sports streaming thing with ESPN and Fox and Warner Bros. That they're doing. And it's just, it's very confusing.
Yeah. There's got to be a better way of doing all this. Yeah. But going back to the Netflix thing on the 2024 Red Sox, I'm wondering also the in-depth documentary examining the 2004 Red Sox
Those
team.
things
Maybe
haven't been done.
That's what I'm saying. Like, didn't they do a 30 for 30? Was it called 4 Days in October or something like that? I think so. But anyways, it was about that, and I thought that was just fine. Like, let's stop making documentaries on things that, you know, they had great documentaries
been
on
well
already.
documented.
Yes, exactly. Been well documented. Like, we don't need any more on, like, nobody needs to ever make another documentary on the O.J. Simpson trial. Like, what the 30 for 30 deal that ESPN did was perfect. Like, you don't need to do that. Same thing with the stiff, which again, maybe people are interested in it. Because was it Netflix that also did the one with like the Balance at the Palace? I did watch that one.
That's fun.
Yeah, and then they did one on Manti Te'o, that whole thing. And then they did, which was crazy.
Yeah, the Manti Te'o one was weird because it was like, I don't know. I just don't know what the purpose of it was, other than for just like us to feel sorry for him. It was very weird.
But part of me, like, I don't know. Part of me felt sorry for him.
Eric Curry.
There it is. Eric Curry.
He must not have ever actually made it on a roster at Minnesota.
I don't think he was good.
Because I sifted through all of the Minnesota basketball rosters from like 13 to 19.
Yeah.
Sucker's not there, but I finally found player rankings from 2016. He was the number 3 player in the state of Arkansas that year. Number 1, Malik Monk. Number 2, Peyton Willis. Fayetteville Purple Dog.
Thank you, because someone said a Vanderbilt who wound up playing at Minnesota, and that's Peyton Willis.
Did he go to Minnesota?
I'm almost positive. Yeah.
Peyton Willis was one of like dozens of that his age group. Everyone from the state of Arkansas. I mean, none of these guys. I'm showing you the top 5. None of them went to Arkansas.
See, that's what I was going to say. That was a crazy time because, like, thinking about all those players that did not come to Arkansas, and I think that was the year when Mike Anderson got all the JUCO players. So that was kind of like the making up for it.
At least you got Keyshawn Ember Simpson, so that's good.
No, it was more Jalen Barford, Daryl Macon, and Orlando Cook.
Oh, was that the year?
That was that year, yeah.
Okay, well, those JUCO guys are good. Good on you slipping Orlando Cook into that mix.
Yeah, well done.
Well, the reason is because he was like the number, like they were literally the top 3 JUCO players. It was like
Orlando
Barford,
Cook
number
was
1, Macon, and then Cook. And I remember I was like, oh man,
I thought between Orlando Cook and Ja'Cory Williams, if you just one of them would end up being good for Arkansas.
No, it's Ja'Cory ended up being good, just not at Arkansas. He had to go to Middle Tennessee to do that. Also, in some other news, apparently Kendall Jenner's just been going to, like, she went to Tuscaloosa. She's gone to Georgia to promote her tequila brand. She's going to these campuses and, like, hanging out and doing stuff. She came to Fayetteville. Would you guys, like, want to go see her? Like, do you guys care about that stuff with Kendall Jenner?
I would absolutely go, yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't be heartbroken if I didn't.
I'm not going to
missed it, but
clear my schedule. But, yeah, it looked like a fun time, her at the Georgia bars.
Yeah. See, this is stuff that Arkansas just doesn't get, you know.
Like
they did get Snoop Dogg working Canes that one time.
I was about to say, I was upset when I missed that.
Yeah.
You know,
it's true. And I don't know if you guys remember when Robin Thicke came and visited Chad Morris.
I don't remember
what that happened.
Oh, I still got the picture. I still got the picture of it. Like, it was just Chad Morris was that coach, just like cool hanging out, and then he was like in his office with Robin Thicke, and I'm like, what? Why? Like, that was the weirdest, most random thing ever.
That's nuts.
So yeah, but yeah, I'd probably go see it.
That's a must move.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it's like. Man, Chad Morris really knows that in marketing. Little did we know. And also, this might be more for you, Andrew, but Gina Carano is suing Disney and Lucasfilm for firing her.
Or did you get fired if they just, like, didn't bring you back? You know, like.
But I thought didn't she sign a 3-year deal though? I thought that's what it was. Maybe
Who
I'm
knows,
wrong.
but,
I might be wrong.
I have a hard time believing that she is going to win this lawsuit.
I mean, I don't think so, but
well, she's got Elon Musk representing her at it.
Is it actually, or it's Elon Musk's?
I'm sure it's not actually him.
Yeah, I don't think it'd be him, but yeah, it's like his free speech attorney or whatever.
I feel like Elon's not the guy to go to for legal advice. I feel like of all those areas of expertise, I do not think legal advice is where, because I think he loses those a lot, right?
I mean, I would think.
Didn't he like have to pay $2 billion for some crap? I mean, I know from Twitter.
I don't know. Maybe.
But maybe he another massage fiend?
Elon?
Yeah. Like a Deshaun Watson level weirdo.
I don't know.
I think he is, yeah.
I just know him and Johnny Depp shared spouse that one time.
I also remember he was in Iron Man 2.
He was in Iron Man 2. As Elon Musk.
As Elon Musk, literally. Back when
I didn't know who he was back then. Like, when I watch it now, I'm like, oh, there's Elon Musk. But like, at the time, I was not like, oh, yeah.
Kind of like me as a kid watching Home Alone 2 and seeing Donald Trump in the hotel.
Yeah, who knew that cameo was going to end up being
because
what
I was
it
just
is.
like, oh, yeah, I didn't know who that was as a kid. It was just like, oh, that was our future president.
Speaking of Donald Trump, not that we get political here, but
All
did
right,
you guys
we're about to end the
see
show
they had
anyways.
they're doing the Republican primaries or whatever, and it was in Nevada last night, and it was none of these candidates is who won.
Oh, I saw
that. It was
that,
like 60% of the thing, like beat Nikki Haley and everybody else, and it's obviously like people because Trump wasn't on the ballot, but it's still funny.
Yeah.
It's the most lopsided primary of all time, I would imagine, right?
Was it like D's Nuts or something wound up on a ticket one time?
Mm-hmm. That's right. I do remember that.
Yeah.
Got a lot of the votes, too.
Yeah.
Got plenty.
We got my vote.
It's, you know what? I'm not even going to go there. We need to end the show because it's going to start getting weird. It's going to get really weird here in a bit.
Hey, we got double Kingsley action happening again in the
I
chat.
love when this happens, yeah.
the Kingsley Harris and then the Kingsley.
The non-Harris Kingsley. I always think he changed his profile picture when I see Kingsley Harris.
Yes. But by the way, I'm gonna just real quick. David's the one that brought up because this is exactly what I was going to bring up. South Park skit between the giant douche and a turd sandwich. That's what it was. Thank you, David. I'm glad you brought it up so I didn't have to. So
well done.
Yeah.
I'm sure South Park will have something on the Gina Carano thing also.
I think they'll have a lot of things on a lot of things.
They'll bring back Kathleen Kennedy.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. Yeah. I wish I could see. Yeah. It's just can't. But it's great. It's great. Well, we got to close up shop, folks. But appreciate each and every one of you watching and listening into the John Nabors Show. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel here on YouTube, as well as all forms of social media for Natty State Sports. Those be sure to check out all the great podcasts that we have here on the podcast network of Natty State Sports, whether it's Pod at the Palace, the Bombastic Podcast, the Six Pack, all great stuff. And we're going to keep it moving tomorrow and having another great show, another great breakdown. So for Curtis Wilkerson and Andrew Ellis, I am John Nabors. Same sports show, same sports channel tomorrow afternoon. Have a great night, everybody. We will see you then.